You make the little things I do be like saying a big thing. Oh, your grace makes a difference. Just they embarrass me. Oh, I like it. Oh, I like the way you they lead me. Oh, promotion everywhere, contracts everywhere, plenty money everywhere. 'Cause you they lead me every day.
Levi Khan already here, okay?
My life is
for Sampson Toe. The other Pyne is going to be here too.
Follow you, Jesus. My life is for your glory, glory. You make the little things I do be like saying I'm big, you know. Your grace makes a difference, just to embarrass me, oh. I like it, oh. I like the way you lead me, oh.
to Group 106 FM TV. We're here to discuss major issues. Specifically, we're going to be emphasizing issues that concern Grand Gedeans today. And we're talking about peace and unity in Grand Gedeans County. I have invited opinion leaders of our county to participate. And this is going to be a continuous process. We're going to have series of this. We're going to bring on different opinion leaders from our county so we can lay to bear this whole issue of disunity, division. And I'm sure Grand Gedeans are ready for that. I've invited the former national board chairman, Mr. Daniel Pyne, to be here. Mr. Sampson Toe is going to be here, former vice president and executive of the GGAA is here. Levi Khan is already here with me. So we're going to spin one more song and then we're going to get straight into the discussion so that we can, by the time Samson and Daniel comes, we already know exactly what we are talking about here. So let me bring one more song and then we will go straight to our discussion. So bear with me. We're going to be also talking about the destruction by CPP, the destruction of CPP by CPP elements. I mean, how can they devour themselves? How can they easily destroy each other and think that they're going to win any election come 2023? We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But let me play this song for you.
I wish ningemwona Magufuli, nipige magoti, nimpongeze hadharani. Yani rais wa muungano wa jamhuri, mchapakazi hachoki, anayepinga nani? Ametuvusha vikwazo, wewe nami, ona nchi anavyoijenga. Flyover tunazo, daraja Kigamboni, airport imeshajengwa. Acha nikupongeze kwa Air Tanzania, zidi baba tuongeze, Air basi Bombardia, standard gauge tuteleze, kusafiri unasinzia. Acheni tu niwaeleze, Magufuli kapania. Odadi Magufuli, cheza nipone, wazopenda wabanecho, magumu acheni. Odadi asa cheza nipone, jembe toka Chato, Magufuli ndo rais wa wanyonge. Aga mpole mtu wa dini hajachoka, tunashukuru. Amesame mara 70, papikocha sayupo huru. Kwa Tanzania tupewe nini, vilokufa yeka vifufua. Karudisha nidhamu serikalini, ukileta janja na tumbua. Sekta madini, umeme, maji, kero zimepungua. Elimu bure vijijini, watoto shule wanabukua. Ifikapo 2020 kura yangu wechukua. Asa tufiche ya nini, Magu uongozi anaujua. Dar es Salaam mwendo kasi, vituo vya afya kila kata. Machinga tunachapa kazi, tena huru bila shaka. Buriki utari ameongeza, uchumi uweze panda. Serikali Dodoma inapendeza, Tanzania ya viwanda. Odadi Magufuli, cheza nipone, sopenda wabanecho, magumu acheni. Odadi asa cheza nipone, jembe toka Chato, Magufuli ndo rais wa wanyonge. Asa wote wa Tanzania tusimame imara, eni wote Tanzania, Tanzania tusonge mbele. Joni Pombe Magufuli, simama imara, yani sote tusonge mbele. Tanzania tusonge mbele. Oh Mama Samia Suluhu, basi simama imara, pamoja tusonge mbele, Tanzania tusonge mbele. Baba Kasimu Majaliwa, simama imara, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, Tanzania yetu sote.
Money finito.
I got something here now. Yeah.
Your money finito. Money finito. Your 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 money finito. Oh yeah. Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Okay. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo, munjayo. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo. Ay, baba la mufaya. La Jarrow, baba la mufaya. La rapeo, la mola mufaya. La Jarrow, la mola mufaya. La rapeo, the baba people coming, will catch you. Baba people coming, will catch you. Nobody like you, like I do. Nobody like you, like I do. Better days ahead, you will enjoy. Better days ahead, you will enjoy. I'm a prover, find a prover, prover. Come a prover, from a prover, prover. Find a prover, find a prover, prover. Prover, from a prover, prover. Your money finito. 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 Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Okay. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo, munjayo. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo. Baba la mufaya. La Jarrow, baba la mufaya. La rapeo, la mola mufaya. La Jarrow, la mola mufaya. La rapeo, the baba people coming, will catch you. Baba people coming, see, will catch you. I love you, love fish, that water. Sometimes I like a pump or talk. Then you in a alleyway. Don't be talking by your friend. Just pulling a cool. You do your own no talking. I do my own like talking. I'm gonna live on living, yeah, so. I'm gonna let my people living, yeah, so. Your money finito. 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 Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Muliakwe mumbayo, mumbayo, mumbayo. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo, munjayo. Muliakwe munjayo, munjayo.
move for ya. Let go. Let Jarrow. Papa, let move for ya. Let Rapeo. Jambo, let move for ya. Oh yeah. Let Jarrow. Jambo, let move for ya. See. Let Rapeo. The Baba people coming. They will catch you. Baba people coming. They will catch you. Hello, my people. Amigo. People who let me, who let you. Shout out to my friends all over the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to Group 106 FM and TV. We are here today to discuss very important issue. Very, very important issue. My guest I have tonight, I have the former national chairman of the board of directors of the Grand Gedeans Association, Mr. Daniel Pyne, is here with me tonight. I also have the former vice president of the Grand Gedeans Association and the executive of the Grand Gedeans Association in the diaspora, Mr. Levi Khan, is also here tonight. I'm expecting talk show host and opinion leader Sampson Toe to join us. But why is this program? This idea was birthed by Mr. Pyne, who believed that it is time for Liberians to come together. I mean, Grand Gedeans to come together, for Grand Gedeans to understand that division is not a way forward. And he has been trying to see how the GGAA can bring back all those who may have left the GGAA, including our brothers who are in the GGAD. And he believed that this can be done. But interestingly, while we were trying to organize the promo, the former vice president of GGA, who is now executive of the GGAD, cut the whole message and decided, I'm coming on board. We all have to try to bring peace to our country, our county. And Sampson Toe is also in the vanguard. I'm one of those who espouse that the solution problem, the solution aspect, that we can be united. And we are talking to three people today. We are going to bring other opinion leaders from the county. So let me bring on my guest here. I'm fine. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Brother Gibson. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate that. We finally got you on after trying so many times. We finally got you on. But Mr. Pyne, while we are waiting for the other guests to come, we can get the ball rolling. Tell me, first of all, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to put your neck into this thing? Why don't you leave the Grand Gedeans just to sort out their own thing?
Well, thank you, Gibson. Thank you for taking this time to invite me and for pushing this idea after my speech during the inauguration of our sister Ofiokwe in North Dakota, Fargo to be exact.
Right.
The response from the audience after I gave my inauguration speech, gave my speech during the inauguration of Ophelia was centered on unity. And there's no such time, Gibson, that it's better to call for unity now. If you can just retrospect last year, what happened? In this great country with all the doctors and everything, COVID-19 came. A lot of our brothers today, they're now our brothers and sisters are now with us. Now, will we go to our grave with this kind of thing still hanging beyond us, knowing what we just saw? I think it should be a wake-up call for everyone. That all of us, we are immune. We could be speaking today, tomorrow we'll be gone. So we can let this can drag, go along the road, let the can drag on. But I think it is time that and I'm prepared to speak out wherever criticism anybody may come and bring. Why now? Because now is the time. We have lost a lot of people, and we cannot continue to be in this kind of a predicament. There's one Grand Gedeans, so there should be one Grand Gedeans body here.
We have other organizations that are supporting the Grand Gedeans Association, and we should allow the organizations to come up. But there's a framework that we can work in to settle our differences. There are differences within the Grand Gedeans Association. There are differences among Grand Gedeans here. Let's face the fact, let's know what the differences are, and let's be able to tackle them. That's the reason why I brought this thing up.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll come back to you. Let me go to the former Vice President, Mr. Pyne. Welcome there, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrow, Mr. Jarrow, for your time.
Okay, look, Mr. Khan, you saw the message. You saw the promo that we needed to bring Grand Gedeans together in unity, and Mr. Pyne is leading this charge. Why you decided to come on board?
Mr. Pyne rightly said it. It's about time so that we all can come together. We all at a certain time had a responsibility to be reliable to our community, to be viable in the sense that we need to step out. If there's anything wrong, we all need to fix it. Even though people may classify other people as a character in the play, but we all need to step on this too and make sure we are back together. And the way I see it is every conflict, people claim that they were right to do what they did. And when people believe that they were right what they did, at the end, they all realize that we all were a contributor at least to the problem. So when we recognize that, it's about time now we all can come on board and discuss how we can move this forward. And this is exactly what impressed me to come on board so that we can discuss this issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Khan. We are waiting for, we are expecting Mr. Sampson Toe to be here. But let's go to more details here. Let me turn to Mr. Pyne. I missed Khan and Pyne together here. Mr. Pyne, look, where did the problem come from? How can we trace the problem? Because we have to know what the issue is, we'll have to know what the problem is, and then we can find the solution. What do you think is now is the problem?
Well, thank you, Gibson. The problem is that we have to be our brother's keeper. We are not our brother's keeper. And what do I mean by that? If you go into our Constitution, the preamble clearly states that for the good of ourselves and the good of our brothers, we have to work together. We're not working together. We are antagonizing one another. We tend not to realize that differences of opinion doesn't mean division. We can have argument, we can have disagreement, but at the end of the day, our disagreement should be able to be formulated into a one plan or united plan that can be able to usher in new attitude, new development, and what have you. If you look at the whole organization in retrospect, we take the Constitution, we take the bull, we take the chapters. There is not that kind of a unity that used to be. So there's confidence crisis. We have to build confidence in one another. We have to look at one another as being our brother's keeper, as I continue to say, because we are in the business of just criticizing what we're not supposed to criticize. We are in the business of insulting what we're not supposed to insult. We are in the business of not realizing the principles of being very honest with one another, what we're supposed to be honest, and all sort of things are just coming about. Look, for example, I'll give you one example of that. Something that happened in Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania, so I will talk about Pennsylvania first before I go to other areas. The election between near Euro and Zion, today Zion, that election, because of the way that election went, the handicaps that came out through that election brought the community in Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania, particularly Philadelphia, now united. Okay? There are issues that we can look at, that we can pinpoint to. In other areas, there are some chapters that never even had elections. I don't know how many years they got people on the board. All these things need to be rectified. And most especially, we should look at the national level. There have been crises. The crisis of Fred Graham and the Bull, the crisis of Bouillonle and the Bull, the crisis of Augustin Meunier and the Bull, the formation of GGAD, breaking away, all these things accumulated to the problem we're having today. Why? Because they can't have been kicked down the road. For example, when the crisis came up between Fred Graham and the Bull, I called for a national conference to discuss the issues. If we had discussed them at that time, definitely won't be to another crisis of Bouillonle and the Bull, or Bouillonle and Augustin Meunier. But because we keep the Fred Graham scenario under the rug and let the care start flowing, so definitely it continue to go forward. But if we had stepped up at that time and take the bull by the horn and discuss what went wrong, what did Fred do wrong, what did the bull do wrong, we go to a national conference and iron out, or go to the GGA conference and iron out, definitely that mistake won't be repeated. If anything had happened that time, we would have picked up. But the brother said, no, we shouldn't do that. When we have election, then we'll fix the problem. Now you alone can fix problem.
Let me argue. Let me put out some of the argument that other people say there is GGAA, there is GGAD, they are moving on fine. Then why do we want to bring them back together? Isn't that advantageous? Isn't that benefit to Grand Gedeans if we have more than one GGA organization?
No, those who are saying that we can move on if we have a breakaway from the organization, they are not looking at the preamble of our organization, that we should be one. We got one Grand Gedeans. We can have many organizations in the diaspora from the community, the Grand Gedeans community, but we must have one body organization that represents the entire Grand Gedeans, and we can have separate organizations. We can have district organizations. We can have age group organizations. We can have other fraternity organizations that are taking on development. But to speak as advocates, to look at the broader picture of Grand Gedeans, to look at the assistance to other organizations should be the work of Grand Gedeans Association. And Grand Gedeans Association cannot do that if it is divided. So that's the reason why we need to come together. And to another point that you stress, why now things are going fine? Things are not going fine. Things are not going fine. There are some other areas where you want to go because of the receptions of other Grand Gedeans, you tend to hold back. Oh, no, I don't want to go there because those people will criticize. Look at some of the issues that are happening around. You know, we go to a meeting, go to a convention, and we say, no, the other person can't sit down here. And, you know, let the person go away. Okay, if the person feel that they are Grand Gedeans and they went to this meeting, whatever wrong they did, accept them in, you'll have a dialogue. Let's be able to talk to one another. But if we're not talking to one another, if we're not bringing people in to see if we can correct the mistakes we're making in our past, then definitely we will not have understanding.
So if we argue and say, hey, if the people in GGAD argue and say, you know what, we are the newest on the block, let the Grand Gedeans people join us and let dissolve the Grand Gedeans Association.
Yeah, I think there was a reason why GGAD was formed. So GGAD didn't just fall from the clear blue sky as the evolution of Grand Gedeans Association. Grand Gedeans Association, when it started from New York and brought everybody together, that organization came about because what? There was a desire to do that. GGAD, Grand Gedeans that formed GGAD are not satisfied with certain decisions that were made. So if they're not satisfied, they are Grand Gedeans. What makes them angry or why they are not satisfied, we all need to address those issues. Okay? Take, for example, the issue with Augustin Meunier. Meunier, he was elected, bona fide. Okay? Meunier, time for election, there was a misunderstanding between he and the bull. At the end of it, Meunier could not even host the election, his own convention. He was silent. Why? Because of the same misunderstanding. And these are just simple things that we can sit down and talk about. And another thing is that nobody should be more Grand Gedeans than afraid to say, well, because I said this, it must happen. The Grand Gedeans, they all should have the voice. We all should contribute to the smooth operation of our community. And we should not just feel that if I say, if Daniel say, then that's the end. No. Daniel is an individual, but he's part of the group of Grand Gedeans Association or Grand Gedeans community. And at that point, we should be able to listen to one another.
Okay, let me. I'll come.
Jarrow,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me. I just want to talk on the health of the situation you just mentioned.
Yeah.
As much as the individual organization at this point may be internally healthy, let's say GGAD is running right and having good time and doing its project and doing things as well as Grand Gedeans Association, the community is not healthy. So even though we have health within our individual organization, our community is toxic and it's not healthy. And the reason why it is not healthy is that we are at knuckleheads, not understanding, not meeting on a one single ground. We used to be together. And as Mr. Pyne mentioned, there is some reason why we broke up. We actually went separately. And even though we feel comfortable within our own skin, within our own organization, we don't cross cooperate. Meaning that if I left here, went to Phoenix and went to a GGAA function, people look at me ugly. People look at me differently. They look at me as somebody who is problematic. They consider me to be a problem person. Vice versa. If that happened to someone else from GGA who's coming to GGAD, people look at you that way. And because we are one people, we shouldn't be considering people in that kind of fashion. We should be able to wholeheartedly embrace Mr. Jarrow when he's in the Grand Gedeans community. We should be wholeheartedly able to embrace Mr. Gwen if he's in the Grand Gedeans community. So speaking of the health of our community, we still have problems to sort out. This is how I look at it. And the only way we can move forward and resolve these issues that are affecting us, we must be able to dialogue like we are starting here today.
Before I go to something, let me ask you a few questions. You guys were angry and formed the GGAD. For whatever reason, for me, it doesn't matter. The idea you guys were angry. It's been too long. Are you still angry? When will your anger end?
Thank you so much, Mr. Jarrow. My expectation is there will be time where we will go back to how things happen. Tonight, we want to create an environment where we all can be free in our skin to say, hey, we all know exactly what happened. We all know how angry we were. We all know, even not GGD alone, maybe people in the GGA are still angry with a certain behavior that I exhibited or with a certain behavior that Mr. Jarrow exhibited. And people have their own anger issue. But at this point, it is still healthy for us to be angry because in conflict, when the conflict begins, everybody become angry and trying to resent and trying to fight back. But at a certain time, we resettle and think that it's by time now to say, hey, even though we all went wrong in certain places, is it still healthy for us to still frown? Should I still frown against a certain behavior still? The best way to do it now is to bring solution in how we can resolve this problem. And I think that's the right way we are going. And speaking of anger, I don't see any member in GGAD who is still angry, who is still trying to go after someone. No. What they believe in now is what they are doing in the community is something relevant to our people. But can we do it alone? Can we do it without our brethren who used to be a part of this process? And that's the bigger question that we all need to answer today. So in my opinion, I think the anger is no longer.
I want to believe that the anger, because are you guys, okay, we'll come back to that. But let me go to Mr. Toe. Mr. Toe, welcome. The liberal conservative.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrow. Good evening, Mr. Pyne. Good evening, Vice President Khan. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Jarrow, I've been listening. I'm sorry that I came on late because I've been having some, I went out of town. And of course, my 18-year-old believe once I leave, he's in control. And so when I got back, my computer, everything has been moved to, everything was there. And then when the ice came, well, I'm the man here. You're not here. So, well, so I put my stuff together. No, but on a very serious note, I've been listening, even though I came in late, but I've been listening. But I as a liberal, let me put this very squarely with you.
Yes.
As a liberal, I don't believe this particular court forum is complete. We have no lady. And as you all know, the women are the backbone of this association. And Mr. Jarrow, it's sad to say, just like many Liberian history, that I've always been part of. Since the rice riot. I was there when the rice riot happened. Okay, I was there when the coup happened. I wasn't there when the war started, but I was there during the turning over from one president, a living president, to another living president. I was there. So I've been, and same thing here with Grand Gedeans Association. If you look at the Grand Gedeans Association constitution, my name is on there, and not as the founding member, but as somebody who has been involved with Grand Gedeans Association for a very, very, very long time. And when the conflict started, I've been there. I've seen it. So I think if we're going to have a genuine conversation among us as Grand Gedeans, it'll be healthy. It'll be healthy not to let things stay. We have to discuss it honestly. We have to discuss this with all of the stakeholders. The past stakeholders, those who were in charge during whatever confusion that have happened, they all must have their say in it. We're not going to agree on many things. But at the end, I think if you listen to the vice president of Grand Gedeans Association, former vice president of Grand Gedeans Association, now second in command of the GGAA, if you listen to him correctly, he's also saying that we have to come together. There's not in bed Niba County, I'm Maryland, the Grand Gedeans and one law, nothing else is better. So I think, and let me say this here also before I talk. I think sharing blame here and there will not be helpful, because Donald Pyne is my very good friend. And I can put this whole entire process at his doorstep and say, Donald Pyne, you're responsible. I can say that because I have some evidence. But what good would it do us? Donald Pyne was member of the board when Levi Khan was member. And it was that you can't. Donald Pyne would call you and eat your ear out about Levi Khan, this, that, and that. And I knew something was coming. Donald Pyne is a highly educated person. Why was he not using that ability to convince Levi Khan and the rest of the people that what was happening was wrong? Why wouldn't he have done that?
But why should you blame Donald Pyne alone? There were a lot. I'm just saying.
If I want to grab this thing and put it to his doorstep, I would do so. I would do. I'm not saying that he's responsible, but I say if I want to, because to be honest with you, when the confusion with Glay and Donald Pyne, he and I during the election, and Donald Pyne was there during Montana and Glay election. He and I were sharing water with people because we didn't want to see what happened in Iowa. Donald Pyne be there. That was not going to happen during the election in Philadelphia. And he made sure people have water. He made sure people have food. Okay, so he cares for this association. I know that. But the point that I'm making is when he was board chair, before he became a board chair, and I have lots of documents here, every one of us do, before he became a board chair, okay, the noise that was coming from their board, specifically being led by Daniel Pyne, for me, it was unhealthy. It was unhealthy because
we'll come to the board issue. We'll talk about the board issue because my issue with the board also is not just one individual.
Yes, and Jarrow, you're one of those. I am one of those myself. So every one of us here share responsibility. Yes, Jarrow, when you came in, you wanted to be Secretary General. Not only did you wanted to be Secretary General, but you want to destroy those who were opposing you. You're my little brother. I'm not hiding anything here. So we all take responsibility of whatever happened. Now, the issue here, we don't want to sit and relitigate the issue in the past. Okay, we don't want to do that. What we can do now is how do we move forward? And the interesting thing that I will say before I take leave here, Mr. Jarrow, is this. Age has a way of trying to reform you, even if you're not ready. Because when you get to a certain age, there are certain things that you look back and say this thing have to be. And this is what is happening with many of us in Grand Gedeans community. We're getting older, and we want this association that always I said, that always was able to bring Grand Gedeans together. Look at the convention we have in Phoenix.
Okay,
Look how many people. Those are the kind of thing that Daniel Pyne, me, and even the vice president are all trying now to see if we can have these kinds of things happening in Grand Gedeans Association.
Let me ask you a question. Why are you on the floor?
Mr. Jerry, your mic is not doing you a favor. Your mic is
My microphone not good?
no, it's not audible at all.
You kidding me? Can any of you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's low.
Yeah, but low.
Okay. Okay, and I will get out and come back. But
If you're talking on the Facebook, they can hear you. But those of for me, it's difficult to hear.
I'm hearing you, but it's just a little bit low. That's what. But I'm
so
hearing you.
I will fix it. I will fix it in a little bit. But here is the thing. If Mr. Toe, that's why they're coming to you. Is it possible that we bring the GGAA and GGAD together at all, in your opinion? Is it possible? And how is it possible?
So you're asking me?
Yes.
Yes. I think I'm sitting down here. I'm so excited. Because I think the brothers and sisters of the DGAA and the GAA, I think we all recognize that we cannot move the ball forward unless we all come together. But the interesting thing and the key, the glue to this is the women of Grand Gedeans Association, of the Grand Gedeans community. When they started getting, there was been a song. They think you're starting, so when they fall into the women hand and the women decide they want to split, we're gonna have a serious problem. Because we men, we can argue, and next day we're ready. But the women, when they say this, that's it. So I think if we're going to do this here, I think our brothers and sisters on both sides, they recognize that this thing, in order for it to be accepted and acceptable among our community, we have to come back together. We brought this county organization basically in the Liberian community in the diaspora. We brought it to the top. County community were nowhere until Grand Gedeans Association decided. It was like a country within a country. That's what Grand Gedeans Association was.
I'll call you back.
And people that were serving us, they didn't come to this position here hoping to steal or something. They came, they were elected. People like Fred Guion, they were elected, duly elected. They didn't steal this position. But for us, some of us decided to, and I'm giving you my opinion. You don't want to bring me back next time, that's fine. Some of us felt that this Grand Gedeans Association, perhaps it was something that we wanted to use to practice our political craft. Wrong. Some of us felt that this Grand Gedeans Association, though and his government, they dethrone us in Liberia. We here, we wear Kosu. This is now the new crown government. Wrong. This is a Grand Gedeans County Association, which is meant to help our brothers and sisters here and abroad. Because if we speaking with one voice, nobody and nothing can take us out of this position. So that's why I think we can come back together, Mr. Jarrow.
I want you to stand by, Mr. Pyne. I don't want us to trade anything on the issue on the allegation part, but I really want to know who are the figures that you think we can bring on board that can hold the state to peace in Grand Gedeans right now in terms of GGAD and GGAA. Who are the people we need to focus on?
Oh, you're talking to me, Gibson?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. To correctly put in perspective what you asked, this gathering this afternoon is just to send the message out.
Yes.
The intent of what we want to do. But there are stakeholders. And the stakeholders are every Grand Gedean, number one, all organizations, sectional organizations, district organizations. You have age group organizations, community organizations, the Grand Gedeans Association itself. Everybody need to come together. So this is not Even though Sampson said that we left out the women, we didn't leave out the women. What we're trying to do today is to just send out the message that this is what we need to do. So we need everybody to come on board. Now we're going to get in contact with everybody, the stakeholders, the women organizations, the age group organizations, the district organizations. We need to talk to everybody because this thing is not one person problem. It's everybody's problem. And like what Sampson correctly said, the Crown people say that they don't begin. Well, you are in one, and on the mother lap, when the baby poo there, the mother can easily take it and say, you know what, can me clean you? But either the old man say, oh man, woman, come for your son, come and take your son and go clean him. So even the issue of Grand Gedeans, if it's late on my doorstep, I will take it. I will take it because why? I want Grand Gedeans to move forward. Issues that are not important are issues that you don't bring about. But issues that are important is what you bring about. That's why we are starting today to bring back the sanity and unity that was in the organizations. Any organization will have its own ups and downs. But as the ups and downs goes, there will always be peace because we must have understanding. And to that extent, everybody is stakeholder in this. But we have to understand that we cannot come together. We cannot come together if we don't have a round table. So let's meet at a round table, invite everybody at the round table, and we add our grievances. Who told you that? I'm not aware that we all made mistakes.
What are you proposing for the bringing back on board our brothers in the GGAA? How can we bring them back? How do we bring them back?
Well, it's not GGAA alone. Okay? GGAA is one of the stakeholders. Okay? So GGAA, the problem that's confronting GGAA will be heard at the national conference, at this roundtable meeting, where everybody will be able to sit down and hear where Daniel Pyne went wrong. Let me start with myself, okay, as board chair or as any of the activities that we're doing for Mother kind of time. Mm-hmm. Where did Daniel Pyne go wrong? And let me come out and say, look, you know what? I take responsibility. Any leader should be able to take responsibility of their wrongdoing. Okay? What the GGAD had in contrast to the extent that they had to break away. What made Frank being vexed? What made Meunier vexed? So all these things, we need to put them together. But before we do that, we need to go to a round table where all of us will sit down and hear one another out. In a conversation way, not in anger, like Levi said. The anger is out now. Let's take the anger out. Let's come to the reasonable aspect. Let's reason with one another. If you can't take responsibility, you can't be a leader. So I'm aware that there are certain decisions, there are certain things that we ourselves did that are not fine. Like what everything, like what Sampson told, like what Levi Khan, like what you Gibson, like what everybody. Because even the common men that go to the Grand Gedeans convention, the ordinary Grand Gedeans, if you go to the convention and you can't speak outright for your rights to hear developments, what happened with finances and the rest of that, then you wouldn't want to go there to get dance, it falls on you. Because if the body is not putting pressure on the administration to get certain information out, then administration becomes lax. So all these things we need to put into perspective. Everybody made a mistake. So we need to go to the round table and air out our differences so that we can correctly put this thing in perspective. So we can't come back to the same mistakes. If we have a board of 42 persons on one single board, that you even go to a board, you cannot even discuss issues. Some other people go to the board. I'm going to the board here today.
The board is the next issue. I'm going to come to the board. Levi, I want to come to you.
Yeah.
You want to make a comment before I ask my specific question? Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to speak on the issue that Mr. Pyne just spoke on. He addressed it very uniquely when it comes to how can we bring back GGAD on board. And what I think is, he said it correctly, it's not just GGAD. Let's just put it in perspective. When something goes wrong, you want to find the root cause. What is really happening? Are we saying Grand Gedeans Association issue started just at Fred Grion's term? It might not be true. It might not be the answer. Yes, maybe the cup has gotten to past the middle, and maybe Fred Grion time got to the top, and it falls off. That's why people broke away. But let me just give you a little bit here. Right now, the membership of GGAD is around 200 people, just 200 Grand Gedeans. And I can tell you that everybody in our community is relevant. But when it comes to leadership, people who step up and do things, if you check GGAD, we get fewer than 100 people who are in leadership, who talk and people listen to. All right, so you talk about 75 to 50%. Grand Gedeans Association, probably our population here in the US, maybe we're about 20,000 plus. So if you took out 300 people, and we're still having issue with over 20,000 people being united and coming back together, then we diagnose that the issue is bigger than just GGAD breaking away. So that's why we will go.
And that's what I'm trying to trace, Levi. The issue may not just be GGAD. There's some fundamental wrong things that have been going on that Mr. Toad tried to point out, that everybody has been doing wrong thing and they have been allowing it to go on. Something even bigger than GGAD concern that is eating the very fabric of our organization.
Yes.
So if I would put it to you, I'm hearing that some GGAD officials want to come back to the GGAA, but they are waiting for some kind of process. What is it? What is it that GGAD officials and members are waiting for to come back? What is it that they're looking at?
Okay, good. Let me just say this. The unity of Grand Gedeans is not based on the dismissal of GGAD or the GGAD people leaving GGAD and coming back to the association. It's not just the base. But we believe that we being in one body and being stronger is a better thing. We believe that. So, and one of the things that will make us stronger in the sense that we believe is that are we able to streamline things that went wrong? For example, we just mentioned, are we able to go on a table to talk about our board structure? How the board of Grand Gedeans Association will look like? Because what we have right now is an organization. The board is an organization, basically on your own. Because if you have 42 people making decisions, that's almost an organization. Even the United Nations don't have that. Okay, so how can we look at that? How can we look at our constitution and bring in a better constitution that will serve us in these days, in the 20th century? Because when people sat in New York before and they came out with a constitution, it merited on the 4 little states that were together and the time. Way back in 1970.
I want to ask you a question before. The board issue, I told you we want to talk about, but Levi, you are very strategic here. And you know it. You are one of the most strategic persons in the GGAD. I mean, to be honest, the people who are listening, Grand Gedeans who are listening right now, if they were to ask you, name me 1 or 2 things that really make the GGAD to be created, that needed to be solved, has not been solved. What is it?
So one of the main things is the inability, and I don't want to be disrespectful to our great brothers and sisters.
Yes, go ahead.
Who on the board and trying all their best to make things happen. But we have a functional board, the functional board that actually brought in decision that we felt based on the structure of the board, we were victim of decision that was made.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you have a working board that actually have constitutional structures that supports the way the board function, we felt we would have gotten a better resolution to the issue that came up compared to.
But because the way the board is structured, it affected the fairness that you expected to happen.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
Because, for example, Mr. Jarrow, let's say today you become president. What you do is you call Arizona and see who supports you, like Levi. And say, Levi, I found 2 people, let put them on the board. So everything I will do will go in my favor.
Okay.
I found 2 people who got nothing to do, who really don't want to be on the board, but only because we want to support Mr. Jarrow, we got these 2 people on the board. You try and get about 30 of those kind of people on the board. every decision you made will be in favor, because 30 people who really don't, because I used to be a board member, and I did things wrong. I did other things wrong. I did a lot of good, but I did other things wrong as well. But when you ask a board member as to why he's on the board and he say, I want to make sure Gissing Jarrow plan does not work, that's not the definition of a person going on the board.
No, it's not. It's not.
So we are coming together and really structuring these things and putting them in place so that the next time will not happen as such. That's the reason why a lot of people stay looking at the Grand Gedeans Association and say, hey, it's not ready yet. We're still not ready for to move forward. But again, it comes down to this kind of conversation we're having. If we are able to have this conversation and work on things like that, and we will, the community will be healthy again. That's my hope, and I think it will happen. Thank you
very much. I'll come back to Mr. So before I come back to Mr. Pyne. Mr. So, Mr. So, there's something I've been hearing from other Grand Gedeans. Oh, you're just leading. They will just die a natural death. At some time, they will just go away. Is that possible in this situation?
No, Mr. Jarrow. They even the GGAA, they have leadership. They have some brilliant. I mean, just listen to the second in command here. They have some brilliant people on their side. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. But this is what I want to also say here, Mr. Jarrow. I wish that this video tonight would be aired 4 or 5 years from now. Because if Liberia want to see that the country itself becomes stable in terms of its application of the functioning of democracy and what have you, they better look at Grand Gedeans County Association that is coming back. Because here, and I will predict this here tonight, now Liberians have not seen nothing yet. They would once again watch the young Grand Gedeans, the intellectual Grand Gedeans, will come together and put ideas together to once again bring this community back together. Having said that, let me speak on the sadness of this whole rumba, what he has done for us.
Mm-hmm.
You have these young Grand Gedeans that came in this country. And when I came in this country, I was very young. I mean, you know that. I was very young. And my idea of Grand Gedeans Association, it wasn't even there. All I wanted to do, play football and go yo, wah, 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 that's it. However, these young people that been here, that came, they came with purpose to educate themselves and make themselves relevant in the community. And one thing about education, I believe, once you have the education, you'll go to work. But the next thing is you want to have a peers who will be in the like-minded person, who and you will be able to help those who are left behind to bring them up. That's another thing what the war did to Grand Gedeans. It made Grand Gedeans feel that when they see their own people, their own brothers and sisters dying, they will do whatever it is to lift them up. So the point here is the vice president here, I think I had a conversation with him a long time ago. It is very sad, and even you, Mr. Jarrow, as smart as you guys are, for us, for this association, for us to sit down here and have this association like this, whereas the intellectual among you would have been in leadership of this association and be able to move this county to the best of the best, even if we are together. We're not going to have these kinds of, and I'm not saying our brothers and sisters Baiko are not capable of leading, but take, for example, if they were to take your Timmons Collins, if they were to take your Fred Guerre, of course, Fred Guerre, not a Grand Gedean, I need for me to see the long form of birth certificate before considering Grand Gedean anyway. But if you were to take these kinds of people, even your Mata Kana, even your own Mr. Pyne over there, and say, you come here, if we were together, we will be able to recommend to the government to say these are people, perhaps if you put them in position in Grand Gedeans County, superintendent, district commissioner, whatever it is, they will be able to help us in the diaspora, be able to help us to move this county to the level that we're deserving. But this is not the case. We have no voice in this government. The only little voice we have are Grand Gedeans sedition. And
Well, one of the things when I talk to people, I told 3 ladies and a guy the other day were on a short little conference. They called me and they involved me into their discussion on the same Grand Gedeans. I think one of the things I said was they didn't allow the parties to even concentrate on how they can proceed. We who were not part of the leadership of both organizations, we were too much into the process, destroying the very path that we're supposed to use to unite. I mean, what role did we play that led us to this point? And
yeah,
now, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Jarrow, a tremendous role you and everyone else. I remember I myself, I'm fully responsible because I when there was an issue between you and Mr. William, instead as a big brother, instead of me to come in and say, let's stop this, let's have a discussion, I decided to take from the line. And I had you in a hole and say, Fred, we don't put getting Jarrow in a hole. What kinds of politics is that? Why was I doing that? And these are some of I'm also responsible.
True life confession. True life confession.
Exactly. And Fred is also my own brother. Why was I doing that? And expect some sort of a kumbaya benefit out of it? No, Fred gonna get angry, but Fred is not like that. Of course, he and I talk most of the time. But these are the kinds of stuff that and this is not just unique to me. Like the vice president correctly stated here, we have an election. The person who the losing candidate will now start going around looking for a board member that will go fight, that will go relitigate the election in a board meeting. Where is that? So these are the kinds of things that we have to resolve. And we have to, Mr. Jarrow, we have to come on this table, like Mr. Pyne said, come on this round table, and those of all who are cooperating in this thing, take full responsibility of about doing.
Are you talking about this picture? This picture, let me see. Let me share this picture here. Are you talking about
I can't believe you did that. That's my picture.
Guess it. Yeah. Guess it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And we thought we were putting an association together.
That's the picture the man put
yeah,
on.
just for the
Well, and Fred Milton and back to me.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The picture I gave you. The picture you just showed.
Yeah.
The picture you just showed shows that the energy, the professionalism of Grand Gedeans is wide ranging.
I like that.
Okay,
like
that was just a depict, a kind of a funny scenario, people to laugh, because look, we gotta be very honest with ourselves. We gotta be honest with ourselves. We gotta go back. I can remember at one point in time, Levi Khan left and went to Liberia, and Boo Yonle was here. But that time Boo Yonle was vice president, and some decisions that were supposed to be made by Boo Yonle was somehow tend to be converted. And who are responsible? Sampson said in what they were responsible. He and Rancid. And what GGAA said there, we said, no, you can't do it. You only come back. It's okay, German, we're sorry. That is the understanding we need to do. You understand? German, you're sorry, we thought the vice president went far place, so we wanted to. It was a mini coup d'etat that was coming that day there. But originally, we just put it aside. We arrested it. And we were able to come and rectify. It didn't even reach the Levi Khan name. We just sat down there and we discussed it. Look, man, this is finished. We'll move on. That's the understanding I want us to bring. That's the understanding we need to have. If we say without none of our blame, then we're deceiving ourselves. And like Levi said, on the board, there are people that want just to say, well, as I go on the board tonight, anything then the point to, I will object to it. Okay, you are objecting to it, you now objecting to the point.
Here is what Patient Green is saying. Every one of you are guilty and need to stop playing the victim and try to do your best and bring everyone back together. Is she wrong here?
No, she's right.
No, Patient is right. Patient is right. Patient is right. Patient is right. That's why, Gibson, I'm saying that I'm not playing victim. I'm saying let's come back together. Okay, because I know that somebody got to do it. If we just sit down and say, okay, we all know that things went wrong, let's sit back, then we'll not start. I may not have all the ideas, but the fact that I'm trying to say, okay, you know what happened? Well, after the speech out there, I called something. After the speech in Fargo, when you and I talk, I called something. Something, this is what is going on. We need to do this. It's okay, Daniel, let's go for it. I gave you my support. Because we know that somebody got to start something. We're not saying that we're trying to play victim card patient. Nobody plays victim card here. We're saying that all of us are wrong. We need to come back together. And we need you patient to also come back on board. We need everybody to come back on board. Anybody that is on Facebook today, please, let's come at a round table and discuss Grand Gedeans, put our differences aside, and make this as a shining star up on the hill again. We used to be an organization of the envy in the community, in the diaspora. You know that. So why now that we should drag ourselves in the mud? Why can't we discuss? Why can't we forgive one another and move forward?
Okay, Levi, this lady knows you very well, and I know she knows you. She writes in the text message. She said, Gibson, don't mind Levi. He should not have even been in this whole thing. He just forced himself inside. Now he got stuck. He's finding another way to get out. What do you say to that?
I don't know what I mean by finding myself in something that I got stuck in. But what I know is I'm not saying here that I was perfect, that everything that went on, I didn't do anything wrong or I didn't wrong anybody. I have personal issue with people. To be frank, on the air, I can tell you I use words that I shouldn't have used, like for example, on my best friend Ricky Banto, and so we all were responsible for what really happened. And individually, I take responsibility. Right. I would have sat here and say, you know what? The Grand Gedeans thing, no big deal in it. I will do whatever I can do individually back home and do my own thing. I can do that. But because I understand that it won't work, just in that situation, I have to now come to the table and say, my people, we all went wrong, and let us do it. I'm not vying for any position moving forward. My dream is to fix this so that when people come, when the next generation come into this thing, it can be a better Grand Gedeans association and not repeating our mistakes that we made. And that's my goal. Yeah, and that lady, I thank her for bringing this up. For raising your questions. That's exactly where we need the community.
She have been the issue. I mean, I don't know something. Is she making any sense? Do you think Levi shouldn't have been in this situation? Well, I don't know what she really means, but she said Levi should not even be in this situation. What is that? What do you say?
No, I don't agree with her because what you're saying, I think what she's saying is that she wanted to deprive like the Grand Gedeans of one of the geniuses we have among us to participate. yeah, this young man, he's very intelligent. Levi is very intelligent and a capable leader. So to say that he should just stay out of it, I mean, Levi being it didn't bring reason to bring confusion in the association. So to say that Levi should not have been in it, then in other words, you're trying to deprive her of one of the most knowledge we have.
I don't think she's saying that Levi should not be in the Grand Gedeans Association. I think she's talking about a conflict. I think that's why.
Well, yeah. Even as that. Levi being in the conflict, if it's such thing, if Levi is being part of the conflict, also put some spite in it. Levi's voice was louder as well, and he wasn't there giving man calls. That's what Levi was doing. He wasn't there saying things that were not necessary. Levi was there defending his group, and intellectually. So to say that he shouldn't be in there, like once again, then you're taking a voice that perhaps Grand Gedeans needed at the time, other Grand Gedeans needed at the time. You want to take that away? No, then I don't agree with it. But Mr. Jarrow, let me just say this here, as Mr. Pyne and Levi continue to say, we just need to find a real room, real place for us to sit down and have a serious conversation, not to blame anybody. However, it should be like Sasugo, where everyone we're taking Sasugo in a sense. But those of us that play important role of bringing this thing down, we should stand up re-examine ourselves in the first place before whatever conference that is going to be scheduled, to say what part you play, and then we should stand up and admit our fault. And Mr. Pyne correctly stated, we should then take responsibility of what we did, whatever little thing we did. Because if your contribution, if it wasn't negative, I don't think we'll be, if every one of us, our contribution was positive, there'll be no reason to have this kinds of conversation tonight. So, Mr. Jarrow, I think it would be better for us to have a roundtable conference or Grand Gedeans conference, however way you want to start it, and then we come together and have this conversation, about an honest conversation. Even if it's 2 days conference, I don't mind that.
I'll come back to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us and listening to us on our FM, this is a discussion about the unity of Grand Gedeans County. And I have with me today the former National Board Chairman, Mr. Daniel Pyne, former National Vice President, now executive, one of the executives of GGAA, Mr. Levi Khan. I have the talk show host, opinion leader, Grand Gedeans opinion leader. He doesn't have any position. He's advisor to all the organizations, all the leaders. And that's one of the things we need to ask here tonight. How can he advisor to everybody? So we will be discussing. Now the question is, Mr. James Yubote, some time ago, did something that nobody expected him to have done. When he won the election, he invited Mr. Guian with him and recognized Mr. Guian. And they lifted Mr. Guian up in that particular conference. Why is it not that Mr. Guian has not joined Mr. Yubote and start working with him? We will discuss that. Let me go back to my panelists. So let me go straight to not to Levi, but to Daniel Pyne. Daniel, James Yubote did something that we didn't expect. I myself, I was shocked, and I liked what he did because it was a sign of unity. That singular act should have ended this thing all. Don't you think so?
Mr. Pyne, his mic is muted.
Oh yeah, wait. I'll mute it.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, Gibson, thank you very much. We had an election in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And that election in Arizona, there were 4 candidates. It was one of the biggest elections ever had.
Yeah.
And I tend to supervise that election as chairman of the board at the time. When Fred Guian won the election, James Yubote was there. You know, normally Grand Gedeans Association, once the president is elected, the next thing you're going to inaugurate him. So at the time of the inauguration, the inauguration before the big one, James Yubote was there. And James said, I congratulate you, Fred Guian, but I'm going back and I'll fight again to win the election.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's exactly what he did. After Guian left and the election was held in Minnesota, he won the election. Okay. Now, another thing I will tell you about James. Before I come to that, you know the differences between Glay versus Matakana and the Grand Gedeans Association. James were in there. James was supporting Glay. He was supporting Glay square and fairly. On that, Rochester, people didn't vote and the rest of that. But after that issue was settled down, when Annie Cooper wanted to run to become president of the Grand Gedeans Association, James Yubote came with all the differences. I called him on the phone. James, look, we want a united team. Since you are from Henry Glade in and Annie Cooper is from Matakana in, let's put this united team together. James came on board. So I'm not surprised that he called Fred Guian on stage and said that Fred Guian recognized Fred Guian as former president. But this is what we need to talk about. We start something, we don't follow up. If it had been followed up, we won't be having this discussion today. That would have been an excellent point to start a new discussion. But again, maybe while things were being put in place, COVID-19 came and everything went stop. But I think we still have a good platform that we can get aboard with. I think James has been saying this to other people. I heard from other people while I was doing the call before this show that James has a similar idea about bringing everybody together. So if that is the intent of James, and then let's use this platform to gather the support and then call for a national unity conference or Grand Gedeans conference to put the ideas that he started in Minnesota in place.
Do you believe such a conference should consider the suggestion others are making, that there should be no barrier, everybody should be free to contest election, Fred Guion, whoever want to contest, there should be no barrier, there should be no any sanction on anybody? Such a suggestion should be considered by the conference?
When we have a reconciliation conference, Gibson, any country that goes through war and they have a reconciliation, truth and reconciliation, everything is forgiven.
Everything is
Because the point is that I lift my hand up that nobody is perfect. We all went wrong. Whatever decisions that were made in the past, whatever actions that were taken, whether for good or bad, fall right back on us. That's what we're having the conversation today. So when we go to the national,
you are here today, openly, Mr. So is here, Mr. Khan is here. All of you are openly accepting that you somehow went one way or the other went wrong. But do we have the hope that some other people who play a major role and who are still stakeholders will also be willing to bury their pride and understand that we need to move forward? I mean, how can we engage with them?
a man does not have a pride when he's not honest. It's the honesty that make you to have pride. So if you come out to say, well, you know what, for me, I sat back, all the things that happen in Grand Gedeans Association, identifying people, that fragmenting people, and me, I don't do anything, history will judge you. Okay? So I think it's about time that we should not eat crab with shame and be honest with one another. If we went wrong, we should admit it. And this thing, as I said, it started way down the line. It didn't just start from GGAD and GGAD splitting. From the time that the organization went to court, can you imagine that? The organization went to court. After the court issue, reconciliation occurred. Some other people never went to that reconciliation. You understand? After the court issue, I can remember Tim call for a reconciliation. The Collins administration in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, that reconciliation, and the group were there. The other group were not there. Okay, they follow up the inauguration in Iowa, Des Moines. So there are a lot of things that we can point to. But as I said, this is a time that everybody should come together. We should do everything possible to come together. So after the national conference, everybody should have the privilege to serve as Grand Gedeans, and as your Grand Gedeans, you should be given the opportunity to run for any position that you want. And it will be based on other factors. There are other good ideas out there, Gibson. When I was making this run for this conference today, at this meeting with you, a lot of people told some things, good things that we can do together. And these ideas can be brought to the national conference. Because why? Some of the problem with us when we go to a national conference, the presiding leadership will try to push their own agenda and not listen to the conference itself. So as a result, the ordinary Grand Gedeans are going to the conference, they lead the conference with nothing. All the good things in them are there. Because some are afraid that, when you allow to get in a microphone, you come to criticize you, or you come to bring other problem that to give you administration hard time. So as a result, the good things that they have in mind never came out. So therefore, at the national conference, at this Grand Gedeans conference, people will bring the good ideas that they have, add everything together, and then we can move forward.
Okay, so let me say this for those of you who are watching us. We are going, this is not a one-time thing. We are going to discuss this on a broad spectrum. I have a bunch of people listed here, and I'm still making my list of people to appear when they agree, if they feel comfortable to appear. Mr. Dustin Manye, Mr. Fred Guion, Mr. Jonathan Gageway, Mr. Timothy Collins, Mr. The three district presidents, Mr. Alex. Let me see what I put here. So, okay, Alex Staley, Mr. Bote Tyre. I got all of these people. I got a long list of people that I'll be inviting here. So some of you will be getting to you because we want to do this as a series. And then we would, at some point in time, we'll bring our first three panels. Maybe one of them will appear with some of these people, or they will appear, all of them will appear. I don't mind. I can host up to 10 people. I don't mind. We can do that so that we can have actual discussion. So let's go to the bowl aspect. Most of you have been talking about the bowl. I will start with Levi. Levi, what's your problem with the bowl?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jarrow. the board structure for me is one of the root causes of where we are, because a board that represents an organization tend to make decisions that favor the health of the organization, and to respect every single board member who has held position with the board, not only a single fault of their own, it's just how the board was set up and what we inherited. So when we inherited a counting board, meaning it's representational, if you have certain amount of states, it should bring certain amount of people on the board. And before we know it, it started with 4 states and went to 20 some more states that were within the Grand Gedeans sector. And then we have the 42% board. The problem with a bigger board or usual board will have like maybe a normal situation, anything start from 5, 7, 9, 11, things like that. The reason why you have smaller group to represent a board is that these people make critical decisions. They look at things very keenly and make the decision. It's not just based on voting and who you support kind of idea. Board is anonymous. They monitor the organization and they base their decision on how the organization can move forward. That's the actual goal of the board. Unfortunately, our board got a little toxic. It got political because it got bigger. And what people will do is they want to win a certain group of people on their side. So if you fight to get about 30 board members on your side, everything that went on the board will come to your interest. So the board would have been, and this board is a non-for-profit board, of course, but it got political. So what happened is politics run in the board. That made it unhealthy. So my idea of we helping, and this is just me throwing things out right now. The way I look at this panel today is that in the future, we'll be able to have working group that will work on different issues and be able to resolve certain issues. Because if we were talking about a board, we have to have a working group that will bring in how can we have a better board. But this is what I think. If you have a smaller board and put in reason why the board is being elected, they will focus on their eligibility. So let's say we don't use the board as representation because we have presidents who represent their chapters. We're now using the board as it's all body that make higher decisions for the organization.
Let's debate this board composition a little bit, and I'll have the other brothers to participate. The Constitution took the carve-out of the Constitution took into account the institutional membership, the chapters of the organization. If we go by an idea and say 9 people, and Levi, if people from Pennsylvania who usually bring the highest number of people, Rhode Island, let's say the Commonwealth, they bring all their 6, 7, 2, 3 people, and only they don't win. The Midwest may not be represented. I think this is the real idea why the Constitution says, all chapters bring 2 people to represent you. Is it the representation that really caused the problem, or the inability of the people who are representing the chapter to know what their functions are?
So that's both. So yeah, both. So the reason I said representation is the representation get us to the bigger number we shouldn't have gotten to. So let's say if we were lucky to have the 50 state participating in Grand Gedeans Association, we will have 100 board members to go to a one meeting and come with a decision. That's not possible. So the representation make the number bigger. It does not make the idea to make the number bigger.
Yeah.
But
so if we have 50 100 board members.
Yes. So that's where we're going. That's the pace we're on right now. We have more than 42 board members right now. So that's the pace. But this is what I was trying to say, Mr. Jason Jarrow. If we were going to bring an idea to reduce the number of the kind of people on the board, and then just not only the number, but who will sit on the board.
Yeah.
So let's say we did district. Let's say we say, okay, to put the number down, we will look at district. We'll look at these 3 major districts we have in Grand Gedeans. Mm-hmm. One district will bring 3 members, one district 3 members, one district 3 members. And if the Constitution have to be revised.
So the 3 districts, 3, we are talking about 9 right now. 9
I just give you an example. Yeah.
Three districts. So what
Yeah.
chapter? What's your idea of representation for the chapter? How many people?
So the chapter had chapter president that sit on the executive and bring their issue. Okay. One of the things I look at here, Mr. Jarrow,
you don't want any representation from the chapters.
Yeah.
You don't
on the board?
Yeah, on the board.
No, because the board is not about bringing issue from the chapter. It's not about that. It's not about going to the meeting and bringing what is affecting people from Arizona. It's not what you're going to discuss on the board. You're discussing constitutional issue. You're discussing the running of the organization. You oversee the administration. So it's not about how many meetings you're attending in Arizona or what happened in Arizona. Come give an update. It's not what we're doing.
Before I go to Mr. Pyne, somebody may say Grand Gedeans Association is an organization by itself. The district organization are separate organizations, even though they are auxiliaries of the Grand Gedeans County. Why should the districts be the one to decide the fate of the national Grand Gedeans issue? That could be a question. I want you to think about it. Mr. Pyne, what do you think?
Thank you, Gerson. You see, the Grand Gedeans Association is without the district organizations and the age group organization. It's like a two-legged bulldog.
Okay.
A two-legged bulldog that can bark, that can bite. So, for example, if you have a very charismatic leader, that moves the district, and say that, look, I mean, all my district people, they think they put being Grand Gedeans Association and we don't like it. Nobody will go there. You think our district people will go there? They will not go. Like what is happening now, like some other organizations, they don't feel so comfortable with the Grand Gedeans Association. When Grand Gedeans Association having convention, they don't go there. So that's the reason why I will support what Levi is saying, that the new structure of the Grand Gedeans Association should be centered around the districts and these grassroots organizations, because they are the Grand Gedeans. They are the sole Grand Gedeans. Grand Gedeans Association again should be the mother organization that should not be in the business of running competition with district organization or projects. They should be the mother organization that will lay out the platform, lay out plans to help the district. Say, for example, look at what Gator did in Niabo district. They built a very beautiful school building. Now, that school building, upon completion, may not have money to pay teachers. Grand Gedeans Association will step in. Most parents want to build an elementary school in one of the towns in Chen district. But if they finish building the school building, who's going to run the school? They do not have answers to that. We need to help. Grand Gedeans Association should shadow this organization to help them. So the role of the new Grand Gedeans Association should look beyond just chapters. Because chapters should be on the administrative level of the administration. The administration should deal with chapters and not chapters being represented at the national level. As you rather said, the board should be able to discuss constitutional issues, issues of development, issues of concern, and not be running a competition with administration to run the administration. The board should not run the administration. The board should not run finances. The board should not run projects. The board should approve projects, allot funds, and then sit back and watch so that afterwards they can go and examine what has happened with the funds, what is the project level. Okay.
Thank you. We will go to one last issue before we go to Mr. Toe to discuss the board issue. We will touch a little bit on the Burkina issue. What do we know, and how does Grand Gedeans Association approach the issue, and to solve the problem? Mr. Toe, I got my composition here, and I'm just throwing this out as a raw meat for people to chew on. I have 15 members for the GGAA board. And out of the 15 members, I have 3 members to represent the 3 districts. And the 12 members that are left should be contested by people who have interest to contest the board election. What is your take?
Thank you, Mr. Jarrow. I think it's a wonderful subject matter here. But before I do that, let me just go back one step backward and say you asked a question earlier about the people should be something about barring a certain group to be part of the administration or whatever that's going to happen. What I do believe is that once we come in, this thing that when I call it thing, and not in a disrespectful manner, because it's still we're still trying to put stuff together. Once we're successful to have an all Grand Gedeans conference, I think then at that conference, there were discussion of the forming or moving forward with the Grand Gedeans Association will be taking place. However, we should also be mindful that we do have a Grand Gedeans Association. Whether we agree with the leadership of that, we have a Grand Gedeans Association duly elected. We have our administration. So then what would need the kinds of questions that we need to ponder on now is what happened to the resolution that perhaps will come from this conference? Do we turn it over to the president or whoever is going to be the administrator at the time? Those are the kinds of discussion that we're going to have. Now, with respect to the board, Mr. Jarrow, once again, let me just say this. The young Grand Gedeans, and even not just young Grand Gedeans, the mid people below us, below me, and let me put it this way, because I think I'm older than everybody, I can say, I always say that. But the point that I want to make here is...
Older than Mr. Pyne?
Daniel and myself, we're fighting over that one, don't worry. Fight you over that one. So we know older than you.
Something that my picking, man. Something that my picking, that guy boy, you know, what am I picking?
You and Ase Soba, who older than their friend?
Me?
Ase Soba?
Yeah.
Sampson Toe or me?
No, you.
Daniel Pan, you and Ase Soba, who older?
Ase Soba, who are you? Who
Ase Soba is my older brother.
Yeah, your older brother too. Simple as that.
I never know who a leg.
So anyway, the point that I'm making here, Mr. Jarrow, one of the issues we have here is the understanding of your participation as an individual. And you can't get to this position if you are not quite ready to have a serious discussion. And you cannot have an intellectual discussion on issue if you're not prepared. And therefore, one of the things you will find these young Grand Gedeans that are upcoming, they will demand a huge responsibility, of course, but they will demand from themselves someone who has the ability to understand. In short, someone who is educated at certain level, not necessarily PhD, but how can you discuss board issue that's supposed to be affecting the association if you do not even understand the issue of the Constitution? Then it's difficult. Second thing, those who are going to be representing the board, even if you say you want to do it with county, let's say the district, are the district members, the president, is that once you become the president of a district chapter, then automatically become a board member. However, in order to become a board member, there will be certain rules certain qualifications that you must meet in order to be Grand Gedeans board member. There's no question asked. Because why am I saying that without fear? Many of the young people today are educated, Mr. Jarrow. These people are highly educated. So I'm not afraid to say, oh, you're going to say something, somebody go. No, because all of these people that I'm looking at, they're highly educated. And they will come to represent us. And not only our interest, but the interest of our brothers and sisters back home. So the board issue, Mr. Jarrow, for me, I believe that when you're going to have to be representing me, my interest on the board, first of all, you must be educated at a certain level. You can't just come from like Sampson Toe coming from one place, then you say, oh, Sampson Toe can talk. So then we'll put you on the board. Well, I know. I'm coming from way one place, I don't know anything, but because I can talk now, then the people say you must go on the board. Well, I know. I will represent you. I even know what the Constitution is. So, Mr. Jarrow, these are very serious issue. Okay? The thing about it is Grand Gedeans, what is happening to us. When the issue of the conflict in Grand Gedeans Association started happening, what happened? Grand Gedeans, the funny thing and good thing, Grand Gedeans decided, okay, since the overall the umbrella organization have an issue, everybody started running to their own section. Boston District, Kunabo District, Chen District, the intellectual. started going to those places. And as a result, the district organization, look at Alex Yala when he was president. Look how much successful he had. He became at Quinamo District. Now look at the new president of Quinamo District. All of these people, they're just one step away from PhD. Mr. Jerry, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're sleeping. You're sleeping on the switch, man.
I wanted to play something like Ife for you, but
Mr. Jarrow, but you vet with me because I call one play with. That's why you put that thing out there for. You vet because you got when I finish taking all your lane one play with. How you vet? I call one play with, you can put that thing on. No, but anyway, as I was saying, look at Mr. Yala.
Yeah,
very shortly, I hope this young man will be a PhD among us. And he's not alone. He's not alone. So the idea of the board, to have a board, you will have to have people with education. Now these people have gone to the section, and the section are doing well because they concentrate. Mr. GGAA, Jerome Poor, president of Boston District, just got through finishing high school. He built a high school in Jaundy. And the young people supposed to be attending the high school very shortly. The convention we just had. He's also now starting another project, high school in Town. Okay, so these people know that because they are educated, so they know the value of education. And these are the kind of people you want. If you put Mr. Poor and the rest of the people on the board, they will fight for the interests of our brothers and sisters. But if you have people like Sampson Toe that know nothing, coming from one place, and you put it on the board, first thing, Guessing Jarrow, they say, man, the man got radio station. Man, where he knows that if he can't be president, you're not vote against it. I'm not voting against you. I'm not going against your interest. I'm not going against the proposal that you bring in because they're affecting our people, but I'm going after you because of who you are. That is the limitation that many of us have. If you're limited in many things, you can't move. So, Mr. Jarrow, the board going to have to be restructured only at the will of Grand Gedeans, not me. Specifically.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to participate, the number is on the screen. Those of you who are listening, and if you want to take a pen or get your keypad ready, it's 425 585 6586. It is right on the screen. If you want to ask a question, you can go ahead and ask the question. If you want to say something, you are most welcome to participate. But let me go to Mr. Pyne. Mr. Pyne, what is your description of the board?
Mr. Pyne is muted as well.
Oh yeah, he's muted again. Yeah, let me unmute him.
Sorry, I'm on.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yeah.
But Mr. Jarrow, Mr. Pyne, excuse me, Mr. Jarrow, can you remove the calling number from our vice president face, please?
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think it's moved now.
He left.
No, but sorry. Thank you, Gibson.
Yeah.
Actually, the national conference will decide on everything that we talk about here. But from my own opinion, what would the board look like? I would prefer if the board take the structure of including the district organizations, number one, because they are the stakeholders, primary stakeholders. Everybody here from somewhere. You Sampson Toe there, you from Bazan District. I'm from Chen District. The other person from Kunambo District. So these three districts put together should form the nucleus of the new board. Okay? And then I will agree with you that at the national conference, people should be elected who have interest in serving the board, given the number of persons that want on the board. So if we take the 3 from the district, or 2, what the number may be, 2 from the district, 2 each from the district, that will be 6. And we say the board number should be 11. If the national conference decide that the board members should be 11, then you have 6. Then that means you're looking for what? You're looking for 5, right? 6 plus 5 are 11. So that number can be elected by the national conference. If I want to vote, if I know that Grand Gedeans favor me, I should stand at the national conference. It shouldn't be anywhere else. Right there, we need 5 more board members to add to the district's number. So who want to run? I put on my hand. And if the Grand Gedeans choose me to vote, they will vote for me. Now with the district, how do the district bring out the 2 numbers? Okay, that will be left with the district because that's the inclusion that we want. Bring everybody on board, and that will be able to help the national administration to release itself out of other burdens. So if we take the districts and the national conference as being the nucleus for bringing the electing the board members, we'll have everybody being informed.
Okay, thank you very much, German. I want to bring on one of our callers here, Mr. Jonathan Gage. Let me see. Let me start the audio from here and see where Mr. Gage, I will soon be with you. Okay, Mr. Gage, are you hearing me? Mr. Gage, are you hearing me? Mr. Gage, are you hearing me? What's going on? Wait. Are you hearing me? Mr. Gage? Is he on mute or what? Mr. Gage, are you hearing me? Okay, I'm going to let him out and maybe he will come back. Because I know that he's not hearing me. But while we wait for our callers, I want to ask you about this Grand Gedeans thing. What is that? Okay, I want to ask you about this Grand Gedeans thing. What are you guys hearing about the Burkina Faso thing? Okay, Mr. Gayu is back on. Mr. Gayu, are you hearing me? Why is he not hearing me? Mr. Gayu? What are you talking about? Mr. Gayu, are you hearing me? What's going on? I just have to call him back. Just hold on 1 minute, please. Let me call Mr. Jonathan KGWay. Mr. KGWay?
Yes, sir.
Were you hearing me or not?
Yeah, I guess I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you clearly.
Okay, no problem. You are live.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, so Mr. Gayue, you've been listening, and you partly contributed text. What is your take on bringing these 2 Grand Gedeans associations together? The Mother Grand Gedeans Association in Americas and the offspring GGAA. What is your thought?
Anyway, first of all, Mr. Jarrow, thank you. Long time. I haven't heard from you. You were very in your support for the CDC government in Liberia.
Look at that.
Actually, I'm not against. But welcome back to the Grand Gedeans thing. And you've been gone for a very long time. I also want to say thanks to your panelists, Mr. Daniel Pyne, my big brother Samuel, Sampson Toe, my once very good friend Levi Khan. I've been following.
What do you mean by your once good friend? What does that mean? Your once good. What is my once good?
Levi and I used to be very close at one point in time. So, by the way, we will leave that discussion for another day.
Okay.
For today, I just want to say thanks to all of you. I followed the discussion from the beginning. I was watching it. At a certain point in time, I don't know what it is, the internet. So in fact, that's one of the reasons for which I called, because I wanted to continue following. But the internet froze, and we're not hearing anything on on the internet. So I call to follow. But now that I've called, let me just say one or two things. First of all, I really don't know whether there is an issue, and in the community, and I think that's what I wrote. I said if there's something going on that is speaking about this right now, because when it comes to the Grand Gedeans Association, I think we went to Minnesota. We elected a leadership, Mr. James Yubote, and Mr. James Yubote had his platform. He's pursuing that platform right now. So my question to Mr. Pyne, he said he's been going around trying to bring people for a national conference for a reconciliation. What is going on? For me, everything looks calm and good in the community. People might not agree with, or maybe people might not be enjoying what Mr. James Yubote is doing, but it's his term. He was elected, and I think he should be given the chance for his term to be completed. And whoever comes in, then we'll look at it. Whoever wants to run after Mr. Yubote's term is completed, we'll look at that person's platform. And maybe some of the things that Mr. Pyne is talking about, if he finds those things in that person's platform, probably then that's the person he's going to support. And to move from there. Or I would suggest that he gets to Mr. James Yubote. Currently, Mr. James Yubote is the president of the Grand Gedeans Association. GGAA has a leadership. That's the leadership that the people of Grand Gedeans in the diaspora recognize. Maybe he can approach Mr. James Yubote and take these good ideas to him and say, look, Mr. Yubote, don't you think, by the time your term is coming to an end, your administration should call for a national conference, and, we should do this, we should do that. Let it be done through the James Yubote administration. And probably he and James, once he sell that idea to the administration, then the administration can, sell the idea to the people of Grand Gedeans, and then maybe we can take it from there.
Mr. Gajo, can I ask you a question? Mr. Gajo, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I kind of understand where you're going with that, but the question is,
Yes.
Mr. Yubote 3 years ago called Mr. Gwen up and recognized Gwen and said you were going to work with Mr. Gwen. Since that time, there is no practical action by Mr. Yubote to bring the issue on the front burner. So what's wrong with individual Grand Gedeans taking the initiative to sound a peace bell to the ears of the administration and all Grand Gedeans? What's wrong with that?
Okay, if you say to the administration, for me, and this is my opinion though, I think they will be going in the right direction. But if you say individual Grand Gedeans now, like when listening to Mr. Pyne, if he's calling or whoever will be calling this or unity conference or reconciliation conference, who will be calling it? Will it be Daniel Pyne? Will it be Sampson Toe? Will it be Levi Khan? And this is what I'm saying, to make it easy, since we have a structure already, and that structure is the Grand Gedeans Association, it has a leadership. To me, it would be easy, and for the Grand Gedeans Association to undertake that, as versus maybe join on KHUA and say you call in unity conference. Of course, there are people in the community who have issue with joining on KHUA and they would not want to go there. Daniel Pyne says he's calling a unity conference. The same thing we apply to him. If you say let Levi Khan do it, the same thing we apply. So then how do we get the people together? Let us use the existing structure. Let it be the Grand Gedeans Association to say, look, my people, and this is where we are. In fact, when our term is ending, we want to end it this way. We want to bring all Grand Gedeans together. In fact, that convention, it will be a unity conference so that we can do this, so that we can do that. To me, it will be the national administration of the Grand Gedeans Association calling on the people. But if you put the Grand Gedeans Association aside and another group, say they're trying to do another thing again, I doubt it, and if it is going to work. And so that's how I look at it. So I think Mr. Pyne should take his idea to the James Yubote administration.
Okay, I want you to stay right there. Mr. Pyne, and then finally respond, because my understanding of the Mr. Pyne's suggestion is not that he wants to call a conference. But Mr. Pyne, you want to say something?
Mr. Jerry, just before Mr. Pyne answers, okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Levi, before Mr. Pyne.
Yeah, go ahead. Mr. Pyne, you will iron the situation.
No, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gayue. And you are still my friend. I respect you a lot. I can call you Big Brother. You are one of the knowledgeable men in our community, a good writer too, who I really like. Um,
Mr.
one,
That's my friend. I think we used to be very good friends. We are good friends
oh,
right now.
oh, okay. One of the things I want to speak to is when Djibouti came to power, when he took over Grand Gedeans Association. Uh, Djibouti undertook a 2.5 month project where he was trying to work on the peace process. He created a committee that actually spoke to us. Unfortunately, they were given short of a time frame. They were unable to finish the job within a very short time frame that the term of referenced at the time. So basically, they were unable to conclude the process of the peace and unity they were trying to pursue. However, this is what I want to say. What we are talking about now is a Grand Gedeans community. It's not about who is the president of GGAA, who's the president of a GAD. The recognition process of who Grand Gedeans recognize, whoever belongs in GGAA recognizes GGAA. Whoever belongs in GGAD recognizes GGAD as their organization. So in order to bring the two bodies together to create a very healthy Grand Gedeans community in the diaspora, so we don't have two organizations, it would take forces from both sides to put this together. Because GGAD people claim they are not under GGAA. It's not GGA that supervises GGAD, and that's for real. In the United States here, they got the same power. They got the same documentation that recognizing to be non-for-profit. For me, that's not a bigger issue now. What we're trying to do now is how we all can come together. So this panel is starting something that it can go either way. It can either go if everybody agrees that Djibouti bring people, and then Fred bring people to me at the table to talk about this situation, to work on it, and even bring resources and everything. That's how we want this to go. So we soliciting ideas. How can we do this? We cannot call a conference without resources, without money. How do we do it? So these are good ideas now, like one that you brought forth. It's a good thing. Whether we can go through these leaderships to be able to get the resources to do these kind of thing, that make a ton of sense. So this is why we're starting. We're not taking over a certain position in the community, but we're starting a conversation that can create a possibility to resolve this issue. And that's what we're doing. Mr. Pyne, you can take it over.
Yeah, but before Mr. Pyne comes in, let me expand on that.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Sampson.
Yeah, and I think this idea here, Mr. Gayue, is not about tough war or trying to circumvent any kinds of process here. What I think Mr. Pyne and any of us, many of us that are on board, are trying to do is, first of all, is to bring all Grand Gedeans knowledgeable about this issue, have a conversation such as on this platform or any other platform. What we're doing here tonight is not formulating a conference as it is. Now, the idea of us coming and having these kinds of honest discussion, it is healthy. First of all, we know Mr. Djibouti is the president of the association. Nobody's trying to take that away from him. But the point here is that Mr. Djibouti has a Grand Gedeans Association, where many Grand Gedeans are members of the association. And Mr. Fred and Mr. Levi Khan have their own association, and many of their followers are there. How do we come together, Mr. Jonathan Gayue? Do we just continue to operate as Grand Gedeans Association while our brothers and sisters are on the other side? And this is the reason why, and we all know this. We can't come to these kinds of things and say that we can't see. We see exactly what is happening. The effort and the manpower that GGAA has that could be coming once member of Grand Gedeans Association, they still have that. Whether this thing is successful or not, they will continue to run their association. Nothing is bothering them. In fact, they are thriving, they are doing good, and so is Grand Gedeans Association. But the idea to have two Grand Gedeans Associations in the United States, I think this is what bothering people like Mr. Pyne, who himself has been involved and enjoy working with one single Grand Gedeans Association. Who we are, and that's who we are. Whatever it is, that's what it is. So we can't come out here and try to change it. But it's not about working with let's just take your idea, for example. Try to say, okay, let's put in Djibouti here. Djibouti call conference, and GGAA members say, the leadership say, you're not going to say no. What you do, you're not forced there. So this is what we're trying to avoid. Those of us, even me here and Mr. Pyne, every one of us, when you're listening from the beginning, we all was giving our own fault into this conflict. So if you come out here to be truthful, those who are listening will say, okay, this man is admitting his fault and he's taking responsibility. I think they themselves will also want to come in here. Whatever fault we have, we'll all come out as brothers and sisters. Mr. Jarrington Gateway, it's not about leadership or trying to take somebody's position. It's not about that for me. Mr. Pyne, please.
Yeah, Mr. Pyne, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan. And I want to thank my colleagues on the panel tonight for that brilliant explanation. Jonathan, you have been in the community for a long time. You have worked with the Grand Gedeans Association, and you are one of the bright stars we have. But to tell me tonight that you don't see nothing wrong, Jonathan, I'm taken aback. Nothing wrong in this community? Do you think everything is fine? If everything is fine, Jonathan, then why are we not together? Why are we having GGAD and GGAD? Why are we having GGA and GGAD? Why? If nothing is wrong. So let us not try to refuse to accept that there are certain things that are wrong in the community. I was talking with something and Levi, from where we come from and how we see things, things are not going the way they're supposed to be. I can't go to GGA conference and move on and go to GGAD conference. We got one Grand Gedeans in Liberia. One and only Grand Gedeans in Liberia. With all the sections that we have, all the tribes, they are together. We can't be here in the diaspora with the same number of sections. Then we hear that we have two organizations. Don't you know that in GGAD, they have Bobo people there? They have Bobo people in GGA. So why the two Bobo people split? Why? It's because we created a situation. That's why we are saying, let's bring the situation together. Nobody is knowing Djibouti. Djibouti is one person in this community that know that likes unity. Because the division between Matakana, not Matakana per se, the lawsuit that came between Henry Glay and Grand Gedeans Association being represented by Matakana, Djibouti with Henry Glay. But afterwards, when we said Jim come, let's unite, Jim came. So Jim is one person. So if James is being told that, look, you know what happened? Let's meet at the round table. I'm very honest that Jim will come. And the same thing Fred William will come. And all the other children will come. All the district organization will come. That's what we are talking about. But for us to sit there and in our own share and say, well, nothing going on, we are deceiving ourselves. That means we'll not be honest with ourselves. So all I just want to say, Mr. Gateway, you are one of the key players in the community. You come from the bubble section. You guys are doing fine. And we want everybody to come together. This is not my conference. Let me make it clear. It's not Sampson Toe conference. It's not Levi conference. We are only starting the conversation. And when we start this conversation, as we start tonight, other ideas will come on. You will bring your idea. Prince Double will bring an idea. Patient will bring her idea. Everybody will bring the idea. Then when we go to the national conference, we know exactly what went wrong when the decision of the bull and the Fred went at local hair came from. Then we'll get to know how to avoid such situation again. We'll know exactly why up to now we have a pretty close to about 35 to 40,000 in the bank that we're not using. The Bank of America is kind of still closed. And we can't sit there and say we don't have a problem. The Bank of America account with the Grand Gedeans Association not being used. Some only put our money there, it's still there. Why is Djibouti not using the money? Why is it not being turned over to the national administration? So these are things Djibouti does not have the power to go to that bank to get it. Because why? They have litigation on it.
That's because the case is still on, right?
Fine, okay, the case is still in court. How will that case be resolved? That case, I come to the end. That case at the Bank of America will involve Fred William, involve Augustine Menye, and involve Bouillon. How do we bring these people on if Djibouti can't call them for them to discuss? And they said, well, Fred said, okay, well, you say you recognize me the other day, but I don't think my people are willing to do this. So that's why Jonathan was saying, let's go to the national conference. We honor our differences. What I done upon went wrong, I made a look, gentlemen, I'm sorry for what I did. I took certain decisions at some point in time that were not right. And as a result, it caused some injuries to the organization. I'm sorry for that. And if other people can do that, fine. Other people want to do that, fine. But the community needs to move forward. Thank you, Gibson.
Okay, Jonathan, I want you to come back in, but Levi said something I want to say to you, and you address it. He said the GGAD is healthy, the GGAA is healthy, but the larger granular community is unhealthy. Do you disagree or agree? And why?
Um, I disagree. If you say the GGAA is healthy, GGAD is healthy. I mean, we have to face reality here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no way that you can compare the two organizations. GGAA is far, bigger. In fact, it is the recognized, is the body that represents Grand Gedeans in the United States. Not only by, people, those of us who are members, but by the greater Liberian community and even outside. So if Mr. Levi Khan is saying GGAD is healthy, it's subject to, to debate.
So you don't think GGAD is healthy in terms of they are fine, they are fine, they are running the organization. They are not healthy? Are they sick?
Well, I was in Liberia recently. I saw, the condition of several people there. In their own mind, they are fine. But, I'm looking at them, from where I came from, they didn't look fine to me. So if somebody like me is fine, she is fine, it doesn't mean that they are really fine.
So GGAD might be sick, but they think they are healthy.
Well, I'm not the one saying it. No, but anyway, all joke aside, Mr. Jerry, what I don't want to say here is that if Mr. Levi Khan and everybody will be truthful, they'll be realistic to themselves. GGAA and GGAD cannot be compared. GGAA might be, GGAD, like Mr. Levi Khan said, can be fine. But
no. Why you say that? Why you say they cannot be compared? Let me ask a fundamental question. GGAA was founded as a non-profit operating under the 501c3 statute.
Yes.
GGAD was founded as a non-profit under the 501c3 status. You have the same status, you have the same recognition by the IRS, you can make the same contribution, you can make the same 990 reporting. Why you think you're different?
Because, like I said, majority of Grand Gedeans in America, and if you ask them, they belong to Grand Gedeans Association.
You don't think they can migrate towards the GGAD someday?
Say that again?
You don't think they can migrate towards the GGAD someday?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. Until that can happen, and then we can address it. But for now,
Mr. Gijue, you can't do this here to us tonight. You know me. This is unfair. This is unfair because you can't come now to say that GGAD or GAA is better than the other one. I understand that's your opinion. I'm not disputing that. You have the right to it. Hold on. You have the right to it. You have the right to it.
No, I don't want to be misquoted. Everybody on the show here, please listen to me. I'm not saying Grand Gedeans Association is better than the GGAD. What I'm just saying here is that when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to finances, when it comes to membership, when it comes to recognition in the community, both within the Grand Gedeans community and the Liberian community, Grand Gedeans Association, GGAA, has.
But that's not what we're fighting for. We're not fighting for recognition in a larger Liberian community. GGAA, the same thing the Grand Gedeans Association is doing. They also do projects at home. They also help brothers and sisters at home. This is what So for us to say, well, we got more recognition than they. Recognition means nothing.
So let me ask Mr. Gijue. So, in your opinion, do you think there's a need for us to even organize any forum, any conference, anything at all like, in it to bring GGAD and GGAA together? Do you think it's any necessary? Is it necessary at all?
Well, to answer that question, Mr. Jarrow, what I would like you to do the next time when you are having this, tonight you have Mr. Daniel Pyne, you have Mr. Levi Khan, both of them.
Can you come Friday? Can you come Friday?
No, not me.
I want to. No, I'm inviting you Friday because you stay on the list. You stay on my list here.
People might think that my mind is already made up.
No. Listen, that's what we want because Mr. Gateway, Mr. Gateway, Mr. Gateway, listen, let me just tell you this. What you are doing is what we really want to hear. We want to hear all the ideas, all the contentions. What you say is part of it. Just Gateway saying there, but we got maybe 10 or 20 other people who think exactly like you are. So when you are on the forum and other people are on the forum, you guys can exchange ideas and find a common ground.
Okay.
So Friday, I'm setting on one.
Mr. Jarrow. Mr. Jarrow.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing to Mr. Gateway real quick.
Yeah, 1 minute. Let me settle with him. I'll come to you. Yeah. Mr. Gateway, what you said? Friday at 4 o'clock.
1 o'clock. I thought it was going to be in the evening because I was going to be at a program, but if it is 1 in the afternoon, yes, then I will be on.
Okay, so what is the free day for 4 o'clock?
Monday going, and
Okay, so Thursday is good?
Yeah, Thursday is good.
All right, so that tomorrow, Thursday, 4 o'clock, you got bring in 2 other persons, and y'all be 3 too, so we can discuss in depth. But give your final statement before you go. Levi, say you want to say something before I let you get your final comment.
Okay, all right.
Levi, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Gateway, to be frank, let me just be bold. When this whole thing started, it was the idea of Mr. Pyne and Mr. Sampson Toe, who I saw on the flyer, that was going to come here and open the discussion to Grand Gedeans people. I personally wanted to be a part of it. And my position here tonight is not about representing GGAA, global people, GM people. It's not what I'm standing for tonight. What I came sincerely is looking at our community and see what we can do to resolve certain issues that are flunkling in our community. So it's not about GGAA and GGAD. It's not about representation, or it's not about debate where we'll have 3 people on the other side, 3 people on the other side. But a healthy discussion where someone who is knowledgeable about what we can do moving forward, that's why I came. I'm not representing GGAD at all. I never took permission from GGAD to come and discuss on their behalf. If we reach to a certain place that we will need representation to represent different organizations, GGAD will decide who to send on this platform to represent them, as well as GGAA. But tonight, for me, I felt it was an open discussion that I can come to and just share the way I feel, we all went wrong and how we can move on in bringing this community together. And when it comes to comparison, you give a very good analogy about meeting somebody in Liberia and say, okay, and you feel the person is not okay. That's fine. I'm in the social field. I'm a social psychologist. I just want to let you know who I am. I'm a social psychologist. In looking at people, in making decisions on whether they feel good or they feel bad, it's relative. The thing I consider to be good, somebody else consider to be bad. If I say GGAD is not healthy, it's relative. When GGAD people, whether they're dying and they enjoying and they're having fun with their wherever they're hovering there, that's how the term healthy to be. In GGAA, same thing. Let's just say, let's be real. We went to Phoenix, we were close to, people would say 5,000, 6,000 people in that city. All the people that didn't even register that city were packed. How many conventions you ever compare to Phoenix convention after all the convention started? Now you go to Philadelphia, they're having a Joe project in Philadelphia now. I tell you, not much people will attend. And because of the kind of people we selectively supporting people now in the Grand Gedeans community, because of the division we have among ourselves. It might not be just GGAD issue. It might be a bigger issue than GGAD in the community. This is why we want we all to come on this type of stage with an open heart and open mind and look for root causes. And Mr. Gateway, I know you know exactly what to do to resolve the conflict. I know that. because you're a smart man and you're one of the best writers in our time, in this place. And I can tell you, it's not about who you represent or who we stand for. So the next time you come here, I would think you will be speaking for all of us, all Grand Gedeans, instead of Grand Gedeans Association. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gateway, I want you to give your final statement because tomorrow you will have the latitude to expound on your idea more. So go ahead and give your final comment before I can go to the panelists.
Thank you. First of all, let me just say, like I said, thanks to everybody once again. And like Mr. Gibson Jarrow rightfully said, for me, everything that I'm saying here, and I'm speaking from experience, from what I've seen going on, and within the community. The issue of whatever GGAD is, powerful, or GGAA, that's really, not what I was speaking to. Also not against the idea of people coming together. If you guys, if you have the time, talk to Tillman Collins. Tillman and myself, we have discussed the same issue that you people are talking about here when it comes to Grand Gedeans coming together. In fact, for me, I was saying that after James Yubote's term, let us even have an interim administration, and
okay.
that interim administration should be tasked, with the responsibility of revamping the constitution, doing a lot of things, a lot of issues with our Grand Gedeans. And
You're coming on board.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
No, I said the same idea
ahead.
I was thinking about, Mr.
Same
Gateway.
idea.
Same thing.
Okay. So, I'm not against the idea of Grand Gedeans and, coming together to say, look, we have issue. I think most of you spoke to a lot of the problems that we have. We have issue with our constitution. That's one of the fundamental things that is, hampering our progress when it comes to, to the Grand Gedeans, community moving forward. The current constitution that we have, our board structure, like Levi spoke to, and a lot of other these things. How can these things be addressed? Again, like I said, we need to come together. But for me, it's the format. And and this is and believe me, if you want to know, what I'm saying, what I'm right or wrong, let Mr. Jarrow bring two people from and you don't necessarily have to come and represent. Like I'm here tonight, I'm not even an official of Grand Gedeans Association, so I'm not representing GGAA. And even though Mr. Levi Khan is an official of GGAD, I don't know about Mr. Pyne. I'm not saying that they are representing GGAA, but what I'm just saying is that they belong to those organizations. And they are not here tonight as spokespeople, a spokesperson, and for GGAA. The same thing, I'm not here as spokesperson for GGAA or nor they for GGAD. But I'm a GGAA member, and they are GGAD members. And so, Mr. Jarrow, if you bring people from these two organizations together and let them discuss this thing, then you will see, where people stand. Right now, tonight, the discussion is going very fine. Everything was going okay because Sampson Toe is on board with Levi Khan and Pyne. And, so they all come from the same background. Not GGAD background now, but, with that idea. So bring another group, and let them have that debate. And it will give you an understanding as to whether, what they are talking about is feasible or it needs some amendment. For me, it's a good idea. I just think that, the road, the way forward is what needs to be, a little bit brushed. And my idea is, let us do it through, the current Grand Gedeans Association. It doesn't matter. We all, when GGAA had their last convention in Minnesota, I don't know what Gibson Jarrow was there. You saw the town. You can't compare that to, the last convention that GGAD had in this place here in Des Moines, Iowa. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in terms of the following. Majority of the Grand Gedeans are still following Grand Gedeans Association.
Okay, but Mr. Gateway, let me just say this. Organizations are built. When Grand Gedeans Association was formed, even though it was formed for all the Grand Gedeans, it didn't have the kind of membership it has today. People gravitated to the organization little by little. If GGAD continues to practice transparency, accountability, and carry on projects and convince people that they mean well, the very people you see in GGAA today, they could be gravitating towards GGAD. And then a bigger split can happen. I think this is why we're trying to avert this now, so that.
I just feel that Gibson. Anytime if you have the time, talk to Tillman Collins. I think I had a discussion with Tillman in 2010 or 2000 something when we're talking about taking the Grand Gedeans Association convention to Texas. People were a little bit scared at that time. Oh, Texas too far because our people were used to having a convention here in the East Coast. Texas was the first test of having the Grand Gedeans Association convention somewhere far away from the traditional places. And I told Mr. Collins, I said, Tillman, you can even take Grand Gedeans Association convention to Alaska. Grand Gedeans are loyal to this organization. Grand Gedeans want to belong. It doesn't matter where the convention go, Grand Gedeans will go. Even when we went, before we could go to this place of Phoenix, Arizona, the same issue came. After Phoenix was elected, and as the convention venue, people were saying, "Oh, when we go to Philadelphia, we will have more people." I brought that same argument in our executive. I said, "No, we're going to Phoenix. If we don't go to Phoenix, I'm out of this administration." I said, "No, Grand Gedeans will go anywhere their organization go. This is the traditional organization of the Grand Gedeans people in the United States. It's Grand Gedeans Association. It can do this, it can have bow leg, it can be crooked, and things like that. It's the organization that the people know."
Okay, all right. So tomorrow you have a lot of time. Thank you very much for calling. Guys, I'm not taking any more calls because my system seems to be corrupted here. I'm going to fix it tomorrow. We're going to take more calls. I'm only going to stop with you. So those of you who are queued up, please, I'm not going to take you. We're going to go to our panelists for our panel. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you, guys. I hope to see you tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So, guys, just one person. We just took one person out of the, let me see how many people here. Seven people here. My system is not good. I'm not going to have all of that call through my. Okay. I'm going to let one person talk. Just one person. All of you, I'm going to let all of you stay and just one person. Mr. Green, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling. I can only pick you from all the people that are there. But Mr. Green, we are discussing the way forward for GGAA and GGAD to come as a one family. You heard all the panel. I believe you are listening. You're listening to Mr. Gateway. What's your take here? You're gonna come eventually on here to have a time to explain or to express yourself.
That's exactly the reason why I'm calling you, Gibson.
Okay.
The format you have is fine, and I really enjoy my VP tonight, Levi. I listened to the whole show, in fact, until Gateway came in, and then it seemed like we were on different planets. But I think you just saw the problem we have in this community, and Jonathan tried by all means not to even mention the GGAD. And that's exactly the problem. Because in Jonathan and other people's mind, Fred Graham and Levi Khan cannot be part of a discussion to bring peace to the community. If that happens, it means Fred Graham and Levi Khan has won. So when he tells you, say, to change lay out the framework, that's exactly the mindset. Because by time like this, we're not even supposed to be around. We were supposed to be somewhere else. We were supposed to be in obscurity. We were supposed to be made shame. But the fact that we are still around, and then we're going to be part of the process to bring peace to this community, they don't want to see it. Somebody called me the other day, and I was not even here for the Bison District inauguration. One of the planning committee members called me, said, "Oh, the Bison District wants to honor you." And then I laughed. I said, "G.J. Dennis will not honor me." He said, "Why?" I said, "Just forget that thought. G.J. Dennis will not hold an award and give it to me." Because I understand the community. The two places that I went to J.J. Dennis's brother funeral and to Converse Zulu husband funeral, and I spoke there clearly. And I told them, forget Fred Graham and then work on peace. I said, since this thing happened, everybody else are in hiding. And I'm saying it boldly. You don't see the Richard Banto, you don't see the Bujale, you don't see the Ereyala. When you talk to them over the Crown, people say, no, the Grand Gedeans Association was not founded for somebody to come and serve and say, oh, I'm finished with it. No, you can be finished with it, but you can still help. You can still provide leadership to the young people that are coming. At least that's what Mr. Yano, Mr. Toe, and everybody else did to us. They didn't just leave. So, Gibson, we have walked this walk for so many times. Levi is on this phone. I didn't really want to come here because I know he did very well. But when Jonathan came here and tried to put, what he tried to put in there, I just want to just give you his mindset. The mindset, the reason why we don't have peace. We will not have peace in this community because there are other people who think Fred Graham not supposed to sit on any table to bring peace to this community. You know how many times I ran after James Djibouti, after we came from over there? James Djibouti set up a committee. We went there, we have so many meetings. Just the same idea, James Djibouti wanted also just nobody must discuss anything. We should not say anything. Just come back to him and say, all right, you are president. And I told him, I said, my man, you don't own this community. The effort you started is good. If you put a group together, you don't need to be calling people, oh, what a person think. For me, I'm not going to, if you call me, I'm not going to come. Because I've said a lot. I am waiting for that time where Grand Gedeans will gather somewhere. And we all gather and drop up a framework. How we can save our community. It's not about me coming and telling you, I want this and I want that. I don't want anything. I want what the Grand Gedeans people want. I don't really want anything. I want what the Grand Gedeans people want. And that's why our cry since from the inception of this case, of this situation. Let me somewhere. Let's go to this place. Let's discuss it as brothers and sisters. Other people say no. Because if you do that, you are giving Fred Graham and his group glory, and they don't deserve glory in the Grand Gedeans community. I'm telling you tonight, if you call me, what can I say? Talk to JJ Dennis 4 months ago. And this is my first time saying this. I didn't even tell Levi. I called JJ Dennis. I said, JJ Dennis, I want you to do that. I think he talked to Daniel Pyne. Guess what Daniel Pyne said? I said, look, you need to do this. I want you to go out and look for people that you can put together. Since Bison District is traveling and you wanted the district president, your district is now coming back to where we know Bison District used to be. I want you to do this. Go out there. Don't call my name. Don't say anything to me. Just go out there and find Grand Gedeans and put them together to see how we can start talking. We have to talk. If we don't talk, we're not going to go anywhere. If you talk, I think you talked to Daniel Pyne. Since I told Jay that thing, Jay has not come back to me and said, oh, my man. So, if the group you are, the group is fine. If I can put a group together and just discuss it, bring regular Grand Gedeans, forget us, forget me. Because when I say, people say, oh, bring regular Grand Gedeans who will say, look, we are tired, we want to go to a place, and we'll call these people. If people love our country, they will come. If they don't come, then they don't love our country. I really don't have anything to say. I just want Grand Gedeans, I want anything the regular Grand Gedeans want, that's what I want. But what I know, any peace to come to this community, Fred and me will be part of it. Whether you like it or not, you go up and come down. You can't take that away from me. So Gibson, thanks for the show. I really didn't want to come on.
Actually, the plan was like this.
Inside comparing and contrasting. I was in Grand Gedeans. I met with the whole country, the seat of the county. I had the video.
Mr. Graham?
Tour of the market building we built.
Mr.
The only
Graham.
person that was missing for that meeting was the superintendent because he was in Monrovia. I met him in Monrovia at Jamaica. He said, oh, my man, you go to the county, the rest of the people there. I met beside the superintendent, I met the whole seat of the county. We toured the market building. We went to see the chairs. So when you say the Liberian people know Grand Gedeans, I mean, Grand Gedeans Association, I get 50 people, but those 50 people, I think those are the most smartest Grand Gedeans that I have. I can say that.
Mr. Graham, here is the plan. I told Mr. Pyne that you're not going to come now. We want to make sure we have cross-section of views. I'm like the fact that you were listening, Mr. Ubote, Mr. Mayor. I will have you to come at a time when you have already listened to a lot of people. That way you know exactly what to say. But right now, I'm not going to invite you immediately. I have the next 2 weeks to talk about this Grand Gedeans and bring different people on the floor. So we see what kind of view that we are generating. And then when you guys come on, you know exactly what kind of, what kind of thing you're dealing with. But I want to say thank you for calling. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. I mean, I'm sorry for coming here.
No, you're good. You're good. That was good for you to come. It was good for you to come. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, let me. This person has been here for long. Let me see if I can bring Telezion. Telezion have been here longer than anybody. Let me see. Telezion. Let me try to route you into this. Telezion, you will be the last person, nobody else. Okay. So okay, Telezion will be the last person to actually welcome you. Telezion, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, my man. Long time.
Yeah, no problem, my brother. I'm sorry I had to keep you that long, but look, I want you to make your comment quickly and let's hear you.
Okay, thank you. There are one or two things I want to stress.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank your panelists, and I want to also thank my man, Gateway, Senator Gateway, even though he had a point. But I think obviously the issue tonight is discussing is talking about reconciliation, how we can bring Grand Gedeans together, which of course is very paramount. But one of the issues I see in the Grand Gedeans community we have to look at is justice logistics. The problem in the community is greed of power, bigotry, and lack of peacemaker. I think, to make it brief again, I heard my brother-in-law, Levi. First of all, I want to commend you and Mr. Pyne tonight. The intention that came with are very genuine. I heard him say GGAA, they might approximately have 200 members. And the rest of the Grand Gedeans, they assume they got 10,000 members. Okay. Grand Gedeans doing fine without GGAA. GGAA did it doing fine without Grand Gedeans. But when we're talking about reconciliation, we're talking about one house people. This is not to our country government to say you can't have a Yamasoko in a husband and wife in the house. One will have to submit in order for us to have a total reconciliation. What do I mean by the breakaway fashion, which is GGAA? And the very one piece, they should write an official letter to the Grand Gedeans community say, no, it's enough, I want peace. Here we're talking about having unity concept. But when you have GGAA on the other side, the president anomaly renewing on the constitutional right as a leader, and GGAA on the other side claiming their constitutional right as
but Telezion, let me ask you a question. So what are they writing now? What are they writing to say?
The right thing to say that I want to say is GGAA.
Yeah.
To write the Grand Gedeans community say, no, my people, they are the breakaway factor from the biggest organization, their own sister organization. So they should come up with remedies, with come up with peace tools. Say, look, gentlemen, enough is enough, my people. This thing has happened long time. We want peace. They break away. You break away from your house. Then we're thinking about reconciliation. But when we're talking about reconciliation, you go on a conference, GGAA president says to Grand Gedeans Association president says to, you bring all the educated people from Grand Gedeans, nothing will work. One has to submit. GGAA must write a letter, open letter to the Grand Gedeans. Enough is enough. That comes to get us a peace. That means he relinquishes.
So okay, let's flip on the other side. Let's give it a flip. Why don't the Grand Gedeans Association also serve as a big brother in the house and say, you know what, let's engage the brothers. Brothers, I want you to come over and make sure that it's done in a respectful way to make them to come over. Why don't they do that? Do we have to push the brothers on the other side against the war and think that they will go through the war?
I think the reason here is this. Mr. You were willing to reconcile with friends. What I'm saying, there are other people on the other side said, no, not well, let's do it this way. And when you go to jail, I personally told the jail, I wanted the team to come to jail. Jim too afraid he feel that the case is in court.
But how you be afraid? And those are the things we're going to be talking about. This is why I really want to bring on Mr. Fred here and Jim to go to the later.
But what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. GGAD, they have the breakaway fashion. If GGAD want to come back to Grand Gedeans Association as the model fashion in the United States, say my people, I think I heard vividly.
Mr. Jarrow.
They all said mistakes were made from the beginning. So when
Mr. Jarrow.
we made mistakes, you made mistakes, then what you do?
But even the Grand Gedeans Association made mistakes. No, before I let you go, let me bring something to your attention. Then I'll let you make your final comment, and then I'll let you go because the panelists, they've been here almost 2 hours plus now.
Okay.
GGAD board of directors made mistakes as well. People took decisions they had no business taking. Other people exacerbated the situation. I was one of those who participated in the process. I had my own fault. People intervened in a way that it created animosity. So a GGA board, if they were also at fault, will the GGA board write and say, Mr. Green and GGAD, we understand why you broke away because the action we took was wrong at the time. That's why we are apologizing to you. You are our brothers. Come back. Can we do that?
No, Mr. Jarrow. If you make him feel you cannot go back to relitigate what else are happening.
Oh, but you want to relitigate.
If you want to peace, you got to do away with all this drama. One person has someone to say to somebody say no. Okay, say for example, you and your wife have problem in the house. You're not speaking. You're walking and very passing by each other. One will have to say, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. What I did today, I did."
Why it has to be GGAD? Why GGAA can't submit?
Then you come back to reconciliation. This is what I'm saying. This is not a two-country leader that having to say, "Oh, we're having a ceasefire. This country claiming authority."
All right.
So, can I ask a little question?
Sister organization.
Okay.
Few groups break away. If the few group want to come back, they should negotiate. And come on.
Can I ask?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Terence.
I really appreciate your view tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Zia. Okay, look, I don't know where to start from, but I'm going to start with Levi, then I go to Sampson, and then Mr. Pyne is going to have the last word. Levi, you heard everybody.
I think
you need to submit and write a letter and say, we are sorry, we want to come back. Why don't you?
Okay, guess I will just go.
Okay, Levi, okay.
Yeah, I will go.
Levi, you are muted or what?
No, you're not hearing me?
I can't hear you. You are muted? No, you're not muted.
You hearing me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Levi.
So this is exactly what we want, Mr. Jarrow, is the diversity of opinion. People have different way how this issue can be resolved. And for me, sometimes we just laugh because sometimes, the way people talk, it sounds funny and things, but it's genuine. That's what people believe in their heart that what should happen. But the reality is, the way I see it, when we try to investigate who did this, who did that, one time we all will come at fault, and that's what we believe. So at this point, let's forget about who, because if you look at tradition, to the last speaker point, if you look at tradition, if your child left the house, like my 16-year-old got angry this gone Friday, he left the house. I never sat there and say, okay, he'll be fine. Let him stay. When he ready, he will come and beg me and come home. I'm the responsible adult here. I got to watch for my son and bring him back home. Even the Bible says that, the prodigal son. So if you try to follow tradition, that's the way it happened. But we are all mature people. Something happened. From GGAD perspective, and I'm trying to come out of GGAA, and now what we're saying tonight, and what we recognize in the community that we are divided. It's not only about GGAD. There are a lot of things going on. Why now we can't get it right, participation in Grand Gedeans Association? Why we can't get it right participation in GGAD? So because we recognize that there's something going on that we need to talk about and resolve, we need to stop bringing people and sharing blame on people and say the person responsible, the person is not responsible. We all are responsible. So for me, if we all erase that mindset of Mr. Jerry hit Levi, Mr. Jerry, oh yeah, he and I have a private conversation recent time. There was some situation I went on. He did a journalism job, and I had to call him and say, oh dude, this thing happened. And he said, oh Levi, you know what? It was in the heat of things, and we talked about it. I respect Mr. Jerry a lot. You respect me a lot, and that's how civilized people behave. And this is exactly what we're talking about. So I just want to say thank you for everybody who's listening tonight. Our goal here is to start the team tonight and move it to an ideal place where we all will be comfortable to share our views and be able to resolve the situation. That's all about that. That's the goal of this thing tonight. It's not about who's wrong, who's right. If we did it this way, this person will be shamed, the person will not be shamed. It's not about power here tonight. It's just about laying a platform that we all can discuss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Toe, I saw you laughing throughout. What's going on?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Jarrow. I was just laughing because some of and they have the right to their view, but sometimes you have to be realistic when you're making these kind of pronouncements in a forum such as this, because these people, the GGAA group, they are honorable people, human beings, respectable member of their own community, and marry wives, kids, and you want them to be submissive in just a section organization. Then I think we're not quite there yet, but we will get there. We'll get there. Look, Mr. Jarrow, first thing is this: if Grand Gedeans, people who believe that, that's their right. They have the right to believe that. But if you believe that because Mr. Levi Khan is here tonight, that then the other side have the upper hand, you're fooling yourself. Levi Khan came here tonight of his own will. The GDAs didn't send him. So if people believe that because he's here, that means GGAA is tired now, they want to make peace, then you're fooling yourself. Then you're not quite there yet. We will get there. Another thing I want to point out as well is this. And I bet there will be people that will leave from here and take my view and construe it to a different level to say, oh, he's part of GDAA. I've never been to their convention, but I like to be truthful. I like for people to be truthful. I like for people to respect each other. So in this conversation, Mr. Jarrow, you must insist. You must insist. Not that you want to control their view, but you must insist those that are going to be coming here, not only to be truthful, but they must respect the view of others, whether they disagree with it or not. And please, Mr. Jarrow, this is, again, it's in your hand. This time, I'm not going to come back and put you in a hole and have Fred turning his bike. I'm not going to do that. So I want you to seriously take this thing serious and be the good referee, as we all know you're capable of being. Because this thing is, as time goes on, people, it's going to be heated because emotions are involved, and you don't expect people to come here and you ask them to divulge their emotion out of this conversation. That's not possible. But you're going to have to referee this thing here fairly. And one other thing I want to say before I go, Mr. Jarrow, is that to our brothers and sisters, all of you that are listening, we're not here to make decisions for Grand Gedeans. This can happen if Grand Gedeans country people in the diaspora, specifically in the United States, one day so happy, it will happen. Daniel Pyne and myself, we can talk from now on Judgment Day. Grand Gedeans say we don't want it, they will not get it, they will not do it. So we're asking for the goodwill of Grand Gedeans for us to come together. Because it's not because one side is tired and therefore they're coming down. No side is tired here. So as we come together, as you bring these people in, Mr. Jarrow, ask for honest opinion and ask them to be themselves, and which they will be. But we're going to have a diverse issue because we're not all manipulated. I mean, we're not just a country, black or country, everybody together. No, we have our own views, but we must be respectful in the deliberation of this, of whatever it is we're doing. Mr. Jarrow, please, next time, when you're inviting people, make sure Mr. Pyne or me, one of us, to watch you, to be here to watch you and see how you carrying it on, because this is very critical. Because if we don't come from this bottom of this rock, if we don't come on top, then my prediction that I had earlier, while I asked Liberian, if they want to see Liberia, the country of Liberia, to move forward, they have to watch Grand Gedeans County Association in the diaspora, because we have the best. The Grand Gedeans, they are educated. The Grand Gedeans, they have the ability to put Grand Gedeans County back on the map, despite the hard feeling on both sides, because we have the ability. We have the ability to come back together. Why? Because we, Grand Gedeans, have the ability to compartmentalize issues, and we're capable of doing that. So I want to thank you very much, Mr. Jarrow, Mr. Pyne. It's a wonderful idea, but every time that I have the opportunity, I will try to bash you as possible, as good as possible, because you, as one of the father of because you're both chairman, and the things started getting rotten from here. So I will always put you in there. But here you are, on a very serious note. You're taking responsibility, whatever it is. That yes, these things here, we should have looked at it differently. And this is what a man's supposed to do. This is what a leader's supposed to do. And I respect you for that. I want to thank you. Please don't get tired. You'll get people calling you right now that they think, oh, they'll call you and start giving you all kinds of ideas. Please let us try and bring these young people back together, because it's very important. Why am I saying so? It's time for Social Security. And I want for Grand Gedeans to be able to help me to collect my Social Security. Thank you very much.
Social Security
because if we're not in, I won't get good Social Security, but if we eat peace, I go to Grand Gedeans Convention, I will eat good food, Social Security.
Okay.
Thank you, Jarrow. Thank you very much.
Mr. Pyne, you can date it now, and then we call it a day.
Yeah, okay. But Brother Sampson, thank you very much. Brother Levi, thank you very much. Thank you, Gibson. I think we're on board. The intent of this platform this evening has been achieved, because we're talking. We got Frank Grant to talk. We got Gender Gidget to talk. We got Teresa Young to talk. And all of people want to talk. Even one of our sisters, Gibson, on Facebook tonight, she's been posting. She said, I think what she said literally, the last thing I read, she said, not anybody that won the conference. And not GGAA that won the conference. And not GGAA that won the conference. They say Grand Gedeans that won the conference. And patient, I take on my hat for you. Thank you very much. That's what we are saying. It is the Grand Gedeans that won the conference. It's the Grand Gedeans that called for peace. It's not Daniel Pyne. Despite the fact that Daniel Pyne is saying that there is a need. It's time now for us to start. Somebody got to get up and speak. Somebody has to start the process. I'm just starting the process. But something Jonathan Gabriel said tonight that I want to take away from this understanding tonight is that he had talked to Timon, and he and Timon have been talking that they should have an interim body, and and then they write a constitution, and then push the thing forward. That's a very brilliant idea. But who's gonna set an interim body in stage when you have a current administration? Are you going to move that administration to put an interim body there? No. So that way it has to come from the grassroots Grand Gedeans, all of us. So the idea that Gidget had, along with Timon, of having an interim government, will come at a later date. Okay? Will come at a later date. And we should understand now that we all have a problem. Those who say that we don't have a problem, they're just begging the issue. And for one group to come out and say, well, let our group call and say, I apologize. Well, I mean, everybody entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I think this discussion will help us in formulating the ideas that will bring the organization together and move this peace process forward. So for those who have come tonight to listen to us, I want to tell you thank you. We will not stop. As Sampson said, I'm not stopping. I'm staying in consultation. And don't worry right now about, who's going to finance the project and where is it going to be held. Let's agree first, okay? When we agree that, yes, we need this national conference and the things are being all laid to you, those things will come later on, okay? We are able people that are willing, and we have the mechanism. We have people in the community who are willing to help us to finance this project. So don't worry about that. Some other states have now been telling us that, look, if you want to have the thing, bring it over here. Let Grand Gedeans come here. But we can't sit there, Sampson and Levi, Gibson, and those of you that listen to say that we don't have a problem. You have GGAA and you have GGAA. And you say it's not a problem? I mean, then I don't know why you consider it to be. You have $1,000 laying in the bank where they need the resolution to come about with the participation of 3 former leaders, and he said that there's nothing happened to that. It's fine when Grand Gedeans have money sitting in the bank and Grand Gedeans is ready to ride motorbike to go to top to do X-ray. Don't you think that 34,000 or 35,000, whatever we have there, can be able to build a polytechnic clinic that will be able to house an X-ray department as well as a good laboratory? Don't you think that can work out? Why are we sitting here and not recognizing it? So we agree. For me, I always say that, look, it's good to say I'm wrong than to say that I don't know what happened. Let's move forward. And just in particular, you, I want to thank you. You encouraged me after my speech in Fargo to pursue this at another level. And I contacted a few other persons. But Sampson and Levi, Sampson was able to come aboard. Soon I told him the first call I made, he accepted it. Even though he threw some ball at my foot, or at my feet rather. Sampson, you are right. That's why they say, "Your clown, your doors on the jammer." When do your clown, no, quite they want. They are one, they are it is what is here. So I want to tell you thank you. But I'm not stopping here. I will go back and then consult my people again. And just as Samson said, anytime you bring people on board, anytime you bring people for the show, bring us. So maybe they may not understand our intent. They want to say that, well, you know, want to sideline the GGA and the rest of that. We're not sideline everybody. We say everybody are 6 foot. So this thing is not with GGA and the other people alone. They were everybody. So I want to tell you, thank you, Gibson. I want to tell everybody thank you. And then let's pray for the success of Grand Gedeans Association, Grand Gedeans in the diaspora, all over in Australia, New Zealand, Norway, England. Everybody, we got your back. And we'll pray to God, whatever strength He gives us, we'll use that to the best of our spine to make sure that this organization come back together as it used to be. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate the time we have together. And trust me, as we go along, Mr. Pyne, I think, Mr. So, Mr. Levi, you are part of the first organizing committee now. I mean, not committee, but I don't want to say committee because people say they already forming a committee. I will
organizing platform.
Organizing platform. I will contact you that have time to come. You will be able to come tomorrow. We will have another one. Like I said, I'm giving 2 weeks to this thing. If we will need to go 3 weeks, I'll go 3 weeks until we can get to a point where we find an amicable solution. But I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sampson. Thank you, Levi. Okay.
All right.
Good night.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. That's it for tonight, guys. Let's play this music.
Thank you.
Highly spiritual.
I'm doing a tune.
Mansa, yeah, Mansa, mingo mwagodi dansa. Nasa nije wa minim dameba. Zaoto wa minim dameba o. Yako imedie. Mansa minaisi kwa suwa mibae. Zakrona duzu akosha unika. Yepezi yeni. Yepenu mediri. Yemzo, muna yenza, unimu zenijena, abai, eko fewe busu ya fonyi na bra, eni obi ya shakone biya, zame umida fubiya ma wasiye gumi, wobiye bibis, tuwachua miya mami wata mi, ampara odo, zane nije o, etenu mumma.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with my system yet, but I think I'm trying to exit here, and I want to say thank you guys for being there. I'll be here tomorrow with the same topic, the same discussion, and we will try to find the best solution for our community. Thank you very much. If you don't hear my voice, I'll be gone.